Hello, fellow followers, and welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on Tom. Who's got their hand in the cookie
I'm not
jar?
eating no cookies that are left over from Christmas. I swear to God, they're
Oh,
still good.
I need a screenshot of that so we
They're
can all
still
change our
good.
avatars.
You can get a screenshot of that easily.
Yes, they are so good. Still, leftover Christmas cookies are the best, people.
Oh my
Sugar
god, yeah.
cookies. Sadie, you cannot have cookies. Go lay down.
That was awesome. But welcome everybody back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene Vids. With me tonight is the cookie eating Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge and the the fast runner Blaze from Runner Blaze. Hi guys, how you doing?
I'm
Good?
I'm not eating cookies, sadly, but
You want a cookie?
I'd
Psych.
love it. I know. I knew you were gonna do that.
I'm a fat kid. You gotta fight me for this shit.
You're not gonna take my cookies.
Well, I started trying to work out again, so
like you
I
ever
should.
yeah, like you were a fat kid anyways, runner.
I'm not saying I'm a fat kid. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying to.
You don't know the struggle, runner. You don't know the struggle.
No,
I do need to lose some weight.
Me too.
No, I'm trying to get my athletic physique back because I kind of lost it after high school.
Because we had to pump you up. But let's say hello to the chat real quick. We have Dr. Coffinels. Hello and welcome, and glad to have you here. And Random Brad, cheers. He's all cheer all. I'll be listening. Have a great one. I hope you have a great one listening to us. Yes, sir. Deleted scene. Steven says he's here and he's not feeling very well right now, so he'll do his best. But that's okay, Steven. If you can't share links and all that, don't worry about it. Enjoy the show yourself. So, but thank you for being a mod here. I truly appreciate that, and a channel member. Glad to have you on my side.
Yeah, man, just relax for the night. You're all good.
He's good peoples.
Yeah, you're good people. So if you don't feel like sharing stuff out, don't worry about it. Not at all. Hell, Brian Barnes.
I'll just post porn links all night long.
They better be that good shit too. None of that crappy stuff.
Well, of course, it's gonna be stuff with a plot. Of course.
Some of that good stuff. I want a story. I want acting. I want conversation.
Good lighting, composition.
Exactly.
Good
sideburns. It just reminds me of that joke.
Of course, the millennials all like good close-ups. Yeah. Just
true. Hell, Tim Hayes. He's you're here. Glad to have you here. Yes, sir. And let's see who else we got here. Brian Barth, I said hi to you, but I like Orson Welles. I have no problem with Orson Welles. I think he was a bit ahead of his time and kind of got shitted on near the pretty much his whole career. So
there's peas everywhere.
I always think Pinky in the Brain, Orson Welles. I remember that.
What are we gonna do tonight, Brain or Pinky?
Same
thing we do every night.
Yeah. Narf. Greetings, Cosmic Squirrel.
It's been a while since I watched that shit.
Yeah, that's been a long time. I just always remembered his voice was being Orson Welles' voice, pretty much. So,
well, it's the same guy that does Egon's voice. What's his name? Something LaMarche or something like that. I can't remember. I fucking forgot what it is now. Damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
he actually has done Orson Welles' voice a few times. He actually did it over Vincent D'Onofrio in that one movie too.
Oh, really?
Shit, Ed Wood, I think it was.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't know that. I knew the Pinky's voice was Raphael, so I knew that. I didn't know that though. Good evening, Cool Gamer. Glad to have you here as well. And Tyrell72. Good evening to you. Glad to have you here. SP says insert Arnold quote here. That's when we was talking about the cookies and stuff. Glad to have you here. And Cynical, happy New Year to you, Cynical. I hope it's been a good one for y'all. Inverse Opinion, glad to have you here. Trying to make sure I get as many as I can. Corleone Rogue, Scooby-Doo porn. Nobody wants to see no dog.
Oh, Jesus
Oh, there's
Christ.
plenty of that already.
I know.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Put the cookie down.
Put the cookie down. Plan to take over the world,
No.
Victor Fontaine. And Anthony Draven. Greg, glad to have you here as well too. And did Orson Welles peak with his first movie? Maybe, but I don't think he really had a chance to show us what else he could do because they kept taking his movies and fiddling with them. So we never really got to see what he was.
He
really
had a few other
capable.
ones that are really good. What was the one that I just forgot to blanked on the name? The one that I brought on that one time I was really blown away by.
Yeah, that's one I was wanting to get from Kino.
Where he
said
plays
like
the
film
old
noir
cop.
one or something.
Yeah. What the hell's in it?
I can't think of the name either.
It's a great fucking flick too. God dang it. Anyhow, and he's got the Third Man is supposed to be another good one of his too. And I haven't seen the Magnificent Ambersons yet, but like they found, I guess they supposedly found some footage that they recut it in more or less what Orson wanted it to be like, and that's the same thing with the one I'm trying to remember. God darn it!
I know. Let's see. We got
I can see the
computers at
poster
our
in my
hands,
head.
so.
I know, and I'm not going to look. I'm too lazy. Oh, look here. Orson Welles. Because I also know by the time I find it, somebody in the chat will get it, and then I feel bad.
Touch of Evil.
Touch of Evil. Thank you. Yes.
There you
go. Yeah.
It's
So he's
not
had a
4K,
few.
you know.
Yes, and it's a great fucking flick. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's also in the Muppet movie.
He's also in the Transformers movie.
That
His
too.
last
And he did the voiceover for trailers sometimes too.
Yeah. Good old Orson Welles. Speaking of Kino Lorber, what was that movie? I got to look that up again real quick. Talking about stuff coming out. The Dennis Hopper, Jodie Foster movie Backtrack, aka Catch Fire, is coming from Kino Lorber. So if you guys are looking forward to that, Mike, that's on here sometimes, that's on 4K for you with us, says it's one of those movies that Dennis Hopper disowns. He directed it, but it goes by Alan Smithy, which, if you don't know, Alan Smithy is when the director pretty much hates what they're doing. They're like, no, I don't want my name on that. So they use the name Alan Smithy, in case anybody didn't know that. But that will contain the theatrical and director's cut. And then I went over the Vinegar Syndrome stuff. I did a video on that, so I'm not really going to go over those. So if you guys want to check that out, check out that Vinegar Syndrome video I got. Just know that Sidekicks and From Beyond, that's my two favorites that I want from them. And then we have Prince of Egypt is available to pre-order. What date was that again, Tom? I missed the date on that.
March 14th, if I remember right.
March 14th. So that'll be good.
2 weeks for Easter. Yeah.
2 weeks before Easter. And runners should like that. Val Kilmer's in it. So
it's his 10 Commandments. Yeah. The Prince of Egypt.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen that.
Neither have I.
I've seen it as a kid, but like I don't remember it very well.
It's supposed to be pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Because I love the 10 Commandments. That's the only reason I've never watched it.
No, me too.
I have the 10 Commandments on 4K. I haven't watched it yet, but Prince of Egypt, it's been more than a fucking decade since I've seen it.
Well, now it's coming to 4K, and you can hear Val Kilmer play Moses. So
I didn't know it was Val Kilmer though. That's insane.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now I definitely need to watch it.
It's Val Kilmer playing Jim Morrison playing Moses.
In the greatest epic of all time.
You want to see it? I'm going to show you. Here it is. It's the 10 Commandments.
Whoa! That would be an awesome movie to see, actually.
Oh my god.
I would love that.
I am the Lizard King. I can do anything.
5-1, man.
That's a false idol.
1-5.
Just imagine.
That
None of you are getting out alive.
Oh my god.
God will smite thee.
I would pay to see that one.
Oh, fuck.
Golden calf. Yeah. Why'd you build it? Golden calf. Ah, yeah.
Oh God. That's good. I've not heard
Now
anything.
you almost die.
People are strange when you're a stranger.
People are strange.
I've not heard anything new yet on the Killer Clowns
I'm
4K
so
yet.
sorry.
That's okay. That was good.
Actually,
I would pay to see that.
wasn't it Arrow? I think is
I know Arrow put out
to
the Blu-ray, so I would
which
assume
is
they're doing the 4K.
which has a 4K scan for a base, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And this is one we've heard rumor upon. I thought we were supposed to get it last Halloween.
So did I.
My guess is something's holding it up. Otherwise, yeah, I would think they're just waiting for the 35th anniversary. Yeah, so it'll probably be out this year. Probably Kino or Arrow would be my guess.
Yeah, I got the Arrow version, which it looks really great. So I'm excited to see how the 4K of that plays out. So that'll be good. See, what else do we got to go? Problem Child is coming with the nice little VHS slipcover from our friends at Mills Creek, right?
Yeah, I kind of like the cover, which I hate to admit.
I know, because
there's no way it's going to be a new scan of the movie or anything. Like exactly. I have the Blu-ray already. I have the first two on Blu-ray. So
was the second one on Blu-ray? I didn't know the second one was on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. You know what's funny is I spent more on the Beach Boys single of that song from the first movie than I did for both of those movies put together.
Really?
And then some. It was one of the, oh God, it was hard to find. You know, the song that's at the end of the first movie by the Beach Boys, Problem Child.
Yeah.
They never released a soundtrack, and it was never actually officially released as a single. So I had to track down a radio single of it, like the radio stations would get.
Oh gosh.
And it was like $50. Yeah.
Damn.
I was like, God, do I do it? Do I not do it? But that's still not the most expensive album I've ever bought.
Well,
there's one that beat it, and that is the Critters LP that was still sealed from 1986.
Now that would have been a good one.
I paid $100.
For real?
For real. Just so I could get Power of the Night, because that's not on the fucking CD. For some reason, in the same fucking thing for part 2, and I even asked Mick Garris about this, because his wife is the singer on the song "The Hungry Heifer."
Really?
Yeah, I said, dude, I sent him a picture of the disc. I'm like, your wife's song ain't on here. He's like, what the fuck? It's supposed to be. He's like, it's on the record. Like, it's not on the CD. And it's the same thing with Power of the Night. It's not on the CD for some fucked up reason. So I've been bugging Waxworks for years. Like, do Critters. Do Critters next. When's Critters?
Yeah.
And Critters 2.
Now.
Do it now.
Do it now.
Well, I love those scores. They're great. Sorry. Anyway,
yes, I do too. I love them. I love it too because it's awesome. Those were some of my favorite movies, The Critters. I was probably one of the few that bought that big box set.
Well, I already got a couple of my bucket list ones. I got my Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2 scores, which were two. Like, I'm like, how did we never get those as a score album before? I do not know, but we finally got those. So that was one of my bucket lists. My other ones was Ninja Turtles 1 and 2. And I'd like 3 as well, but 1 and 2 is great. But 3 is okay if we get it eventually. It's fine, but whatever.
Yeah,
but like
that's about 3.
So now I'm down to my Critters, basically, or 2 more that are on my bucket list, and there ain't so many after that. But yeah, that just don't have a soundtrack album, or at least a decent enough one, anyway. Let's say.
Yeah.
Hopefully, that may come up later.
Hopefully Waxworks gets on that, but that's good to know.
Or anybody for that matter. Yeah. Well, and here's another thing. Speaking of Waxworks, this was going to be one of my picks anyway, but fuck it, whatever. Things like this make me know that we're getting closer to the 4K, because I thought they lost this.
Oh, really?
This is the soundtrack. The one they released a couple years back was called Killer Clowns Reimagined. So they redid the score because they supposedly lost the original score tracks. Well, now that they went back to the negative for the 4K, my guess is they found the score stem. So this is the actual score here on this. So there you go.
Nice.
So Waxworks just put that out. So we start seeing shit like that. We eventually get a 4K soon after.
Yeah.
You can tell what that is.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
What did we just get?
Yep. And I just saw the deleted scene, Joe Bob Briggs deleted scene from that he put out.
The only thing he's in the movie? I didn't even know that.
I don't know if any of his footage is, I think it's left in the footage, but there's a deleted scene that it's a really cool deleted scene that with him in it.
It's probably on the Blu-ray and I didn't get it. There's so much stuff on that Blu-ray. I didn't get to go through all of it. But the only thing that pisses me off is they don't have like the original music either, like the pop songs.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the soundtrack. I'm like, I wanted the rock songs and shit too.
That's crazy. Yeah, that'd be nice. But yeah, I saw that he posted that on Instagram, Joe Bob Briggs, and it was a pretty cool.
I'll have to check that out. It's probably from the Blu-ray. Yeah, because I think there is a whole like 30 minutes of deleted scenes or some shit like that.
I'll just say the man has a way of saying titty that just makes you smile.
This movie has 12 titties.
He's just like walking down the steps with these two chicks talking because they just came from a movie. He's like
2 half titties.
Exactly. He's walking down the steps.
Titty foo.
That's what he says. He's walking down these steps with these two chicks, and they just came from a movie, and he's like, that's not real blood coming out their titties. It's just the way he said it. It's so great. And he tries to explain how it's done, and then all of a sudden the meat truck's outside, and it opens up, and Leatherface comes out with the chainsaw, and he goes, "God damn it, that's some Saw food right there." It's just fun.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right, kids. What do you say? We have any more things to talk? Oh, yeah, we do have a few more things to talk
just
about.
Just a rumor on True Lies, and that was really about it, right? I think, and the Rockies 4, 5, and 6 may be coming on director's cut, which I didn't get to talk a whole lot about, but
yeah.
That's about it, guys. I think that's really about it. So if you guys look for that, yeah, and you can pre-order all 4 of the Rockies on 4K right now. One set looks like no special features, but the one on Rocky vs. Drago.
Yeah.
I'd say just get the steelbooks, but I wish they just would have released them all at one time. But we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, I'm not happy with how they're handling this, but like I said, I'm probably just gonna get the steelbooks anyway. And hopefully we get a nice release of Rocky 5 and 6 together or something like that. That's the only way I can see him doing it to give me any incentive, because as you can see here in the chat, like Mike P said, Rocky 5 sucked. Some people don't like it.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once. I don't
it sucks.
I don't hate it, but I don't love it either.
It is the least of the films, I will say that. But I do like it, and there's things about it that it even still is canon that are picked up in Rocky Balboa. So like, it's not like they don't need it. Mm-hmm. And with him doing this recut, there's a work print that's been going around for years from an old VHS or whatever, and it's supposed to be better. I've never seen the whole thing. I've seen bits and pieces of it. Like earlier, I had the a deleted scene for a trailer before the show, but it could be interesting to see, because I know Sly's talked about it for many years, that there was things that he'd like to try to do with it, even though he didn't direct 5, so it won't be a really true director's cut. It would be the Sylvester Stallone cut.
Yeah. I think he got the bug after going back and doing 4. He's like, you know what? I think I could fix 5.
I'm not surprised. I thought he would do, like, if any of them, that's the one everybody's scratched their head about. They're like, why'd you pick 4? 5's the one that needs a recut. Like
4's like one of the best.
And that's the thing is I don't like his new version. Actually, I really don't. The little bit of extra we get is not worth what we lose, in my opinion.
I heard some mixed reactions to it. So.
And I don't like it in the cropped off widescreen either.
I haven't seen it either. I haven't seen it, but I'm definitely interested in checking it out once.
It's like 70% the same film ish, maybe a little more, but the rest of it is just from different angles. They cut out all the robot, and in that, which sucks, because here's the stupidity of that. It's like if they were going to do that, they should have just removed it CGI or done something else, or cut it, minimalized it instead of cutting it out altogether, because there's a couple scenes then that get cut out to where if you kind of don't really know the story, I'm not so sure that the Rocky versus Drago holds up. I have to rewatch it again because there's scenes that Apollo is in that are integral to his decision of going up against Drago that are cut out because they're in Paulie's birthday scene.
Yeah, with the robot.
And that whole thing is just kind of chopped to shit. And then you get an extension of another bit, which just him and those two talking. But at that point, yeah, it's a cool, nice scene, but it doesn't really add anything to the story. And then there's just little bits and pieces and alternate takes and shit here and there. And you like recut the final fight and shit like that. And it's all right. It's nice to see. It's kind of cool. And yeah, the opening is also missing as well, like Bryant said as well. So there's some... Yeah, the theatrical version to me is the superior cut.
I usually typically prefer theatrical versions. Very rarely does like the director's cut. It'd be like, that's the one I want. But I mean, there are a few that I prefer the director's cut. But yeah, I'm 9 times out of 10, it's the theatrical cut's the best.
I like to have them.
Yeah, I like to have them too. So,
but as far as like 9 times, well, I wouldn't even say 9 times, maybe more like 7 or 8 out of 10 times, because I tend to lean towards especially if it's an actual legit director's cut, because that's the thing we need to kind of clarify, because that word gets tossed around a lot.
That's true.
Because a lot of these extended and unrated cuts that got released over the last 20 years are not actually the director's preferred choice, or that was just the standard cut anyway, and the theatrical cut was a crap version that got cut down for theaters. But you also had where 20th Century Fox for years insisted that their directors shoot both an unrated and rated version for DVD.
Right. Yep.
So you have that problem. So they're kind of unnatural. And Dumb and Dumber is a great example of how that fucked it up, because they let the Farrellies go back and make their R-rated cut of that they originally wanted to do. And I think it sucks compared to the original version. And it adds a whole nother subplot to the movie that just drags away from the story of an already long comedy.
It's true.
Because let's be real, Dumb and Dumber is almost 2 hours long. That's kind of long for a comedy.
Yeah, I mean, you can only handle so much, like we did earlier. You drove this way, how many miles in the wrong direction? You're so genius.
Wait a minute, wasn't the director's cut of Tropic Thunder 2 hours?
Oh, yeah, that one's like almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that one's, I think, from recollection, that's one of the few I prefer the director's cut, because that one has a ton of shit that's not in the other version.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. I have to go watch them again. It's been a while. But yeah, there's a few exceptions. Obviously, the James Cameron director's cuts are always better. Peter Jackson's director's cuts are always better. Certain directors, you just kind of go by it. Then you got other ones like Ridley Scott, where they got 17 fucking cuts of the same movie.
I haven't got it right yet.
Just quite haven't got it right yet, have you, Ridley? There's only one movie that he still had to do a fucking director's cut of it, and this time you can't blame him, because it was actually at the behest of the studio. But what he did was stupid. Because instead of actually adding shit to it, really, he went and recut Aliens and cut shit out and added a few things in that weren't. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like Alien is your fucking masterpiece, man. Like, if anything, that is your best fucking movie, hands fucking down. And I say that because nobody will argue with you about that, right? Like, you bring up Blade Runner, always one guy gonna be like, I didn't like it. I just don't get the hype. And you can go off to some random fucking Ridley movies, and 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get. Alien is the movie that everybody loves from Ridley Scott. Let's be real. So what does he do? He does this stupid fucking director's cut with Fox, and it's like, somebody should have got their better head about it. Just be like, look, either we're not going to mess with it at all, or you just add in all these scenes and that's it. Like, we do like a special edition, and that's how we do this. Because frankly, like that, I don't like that director's cut either. Because the bits that are added, which are cool, it detracts because they take the other shit out. And that's the other thing I hate when they do that. It's like, if you're going to do a director's cut, do a fucking director's cut or extended cut or whatever. Like, don't do this fucking half-assed, I'm just doing this just to re-release it and make something different cut. So I give Sly credit. He tried to do something different with Rocky IV. It kind of failed. I hope with Rocky V, he takes a different approach. I hope this is more in line with like an idea of like, maybe he had a different idea for the story than Alvinson did. Maybe he's got a little bit more he can play with here. So let's hope, fingers crossed. With Rocky Balboa, that one makes no fucking sense, because everybody's like, that movie's fine.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not. I love Rocky Balboa, so I have no problem with it.
I'm afraid if you fuck with that one too much, that's where we're going to run into the area of now you've done ruined the movie because you added in all this other shit that you cut out for a reason. Then obviously,
Yeah,
I mean, unless there's like I think I do remember there's a bit more of a subplot with his kid and stuff that got kind of cut out, but you really don't need it. That movie's pretty fucking solid. Like it's
It is.
pretty
yeah, it's
fucking
pretty
solid.
Plus, I mean, is Warner Brothers gonna distribute Rocky Balboa
Yeah.
or Sony?
Well, no. So I looked it up. So Sony only owned it as far as like foreign distribution.
Okay.
Yeah, because the reason I had to look it up because this was a funky time that MGM actually was owned by Sony for a hot minute.
Mm.
This happened when they made the RoboCop remake. Because that's why it's co-produced by Sony. There's a couple other ones in that whole deal. But yeah, so thoughts on Legend? You know what, Bryant? I have not seen that movie in its entirety in so fucking long. I do have the new Blu-ray version of it, but I haven't watched it all the way through yet.
I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this one because because I know he's getting it because there's a director's cut too. The theatrical cut is better than the director's cut.
Well, isn't that
Way
more of a
better.
situation where it's not so much a director's cut as it is an alternate cut because of the region?
Sort of, but it's like he legitimately changes the ending.
Or is there
and
three different
everything.
cuts?
I think there's three cuts of it. There's the theatrical cut, there's the international cut, and then
Yeah.
there's the director's cut. And the director's
Yeah.
cut sucks. It does because it leaves you on a downer of an ending. I mean, it's a dark fairy tale to begin with, but the ending to the director's cut sucks. And plus, if I do believe that's also where the music starts to change too. So that's why there's so many different, like the Tangerine Dream and all that crap all gets involved with the director's cut. So yeah, the director's cut sucks. And I just got the Arrow set from last year. It's beautiful, but sadly we didn't get that 4K.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
haven't gotten the movie yet just because I'm waiting for the 4K.
You're not going to get the 4K. So
I don't think we're going to the way it
Yeah.
sounds.
Yeah, Disney and the
Too many
international rights.
problems.
Yeah, too many
Oh.
problems.
Oh, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed when I heard about that too, because it looks good on the Blu-ray, like the little bit I watched to preview it, and I'm like, why didn't we get a 4K of this? And that's when I asked Greg about it all again, and he explained it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's fucking stupid.
Yep. They tried. They really tried, but the
Wait,
international
is it-
people in Disney wouldn't play.
Is it owned by Fox?
No, Disney owns. I think how'd that guy say it? They own like the U.S. rights, maybe, or just U.S.
Here was the
distribution
thing.
rights.
There was
maybe?
like, yeah, was that one of those movies? Because Disney had done some weird deals in that early 80s. Because like
Yeah.
Popeye is one of them. What the other ones are? I'm trying to remember now. Popeye, was it the Black Hole? No, something else. Dragon Slayer. That's the one I was trying to think of. So Popeye and Dragon Slayer they did as a co-production with Paramount. Paramount released those two movies in the U.S. and they own U.S. distribution on them. But overseas, they're all released by Disney.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is a situation that Legendary did with, or with Legend, if it was a deal that they did with, because who actually, that's a Dino De Laurentiis film, isn't it? And that's why it's through Universal here, I think.
I think so.
So
Yeah,
I think that's the case. So they probably did a deal with Dino for like one movie, and that's why they own the foreign distribution, and then Universal has the domestic. Because usually Universal would release a lot of Dino's movies, so I think that's the case. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a Dino De Laurentiis film.
It's something. If I could, it's all the way on the shelf. I'd go get it and let you know. But yeah, it's something like that. That somehow, like the Disney rights and the international rights, they just would not. Disney wouldn't budge, and the international people wouldn't budge. So we couldn't never get that 4K, and we probably never will. So
that was at the period where Disney tried this, like they were trying to change their image a little bit, and that all kind of led to the creation of Touchstone Pictures. Basically, is what it did, because they were getting so far away from what Disney was before. They were just basically becoming like another studio almost. But what they had was a couple of golden boys there in like Katzenberg and stuff like that. And these guys, like, you know, they came from like Paramount and all that kind of stuff, and they changed the way the studio ran. And yeah, like these guys were also, they had guys from Paramount and stuff that were responsible for like Beverly Hills Cop and Top Gun and all that kind of shit. So that's where, you know, that shit really took off with Hollywood Pictures and Touchstone. But yeah. So there you go, Fox. Okay, so Fox owns it in another place.
So.
And then that's another problem you have with some of these older movies is like every fucking country has a different fucking company that owns the release rights.
Exactly. And that's, kids, this is also why sometimes you do not get the 4K, because there are these multiple international companies from not only in America, Australia, UK, and sometimes they just won't play ball,
and it can be a
sometimes the
nightmare.
elements aren't there. Yeah.
Exactly. It can be a nightmare for these boutique companies especially, right? Because they have no real power or sway over anything, and then like, you know, they're under certain, and I got to be careful what I say here because this is actually from a conversation I had with somebody about something we're going to announce eventually. But like, let's say you have a director's cut of something, the studio has to okay that, plus on top of being able to get certain elements for it. And because they have to make it available in all these regions now and stuff like that. So it's a big, huge fucking mess of paperwork. So 9 times out of 10, that's why we're lucky to get any of these director's cuts sometimes. And it's only because a lot of those times there's no red tape to get through. Now, this is what happened with the recent with Marty, wasn't it? That
Martin. Yep.
That Blu-ray situation, because they had an extended cut of it, and I'm imagining that's kind of probably what gotten in the way is either some foreign distributor that owns something or some producer that has some say or sway over something. I can't remember the exact.
I believe it's the people that own George Romero's estate. I don't think it's his family members. It's some other people. They're the ones that found it, and they don't like to share. So I think that's the big thing. Is like Studio Canal was doing the theatrical cut, so it's international and everything. And then the people here in America, I don't think it's the Garth Foundation, because the Garth Foundation is his foundation, but it's somehow so the people that owns his movie rights or whatever, something they found it, one of the guys that found it, and they don't like to share. They don't like to, you know, deal out. So that's why you probably won't get that 4K.
Is this the same guy that's a problem with the Dawn of the Dead shit?
I think it might be. It might be.
And he's a dickhole. He wants money. He wants. Yeah. I can't remember
his name or anything, but yeah,
he's made it a nightmare for Dawn of the Dead fans for years. Yeah.
Yeah. He won't budge on this, and he probably wants to figure out some way to make money for it for himself and release it some way that way. Who knows?
This is how bright this motherfucker is. He's been sitting on a 3D version of Dawn of the Dead for years. He finally releases it last year.
Yeah.
Dude, the 3D craze has been done for how long?
Exactly.
That should have been in your ultimate 4K collection too, by the way, asshole.
Yeah.
Like, that's pissed a lot of people off. We're like, dude, you've been promising us this 3D version of this movie for years, and then I heard it's not very good anyway.
Yeah.
Of course, because it's probably an old ass conversion.
Then he releases it after the craze is over.
Yeah, way after the fact.
But with all that being said, I hope we gave you guys some information and some upcoming titles.
Yeah,
we
sorry.
Expressed it out longer than I thought we would.
Well, I did kind of sneak in a pick there with my Waxworks albums. Yeah. That was my 4th possible pick if I needed one. So.
Okay. Well, that'll play. But if you guys are ready, let's get into it.
Suppose we better let Runner go first because he's got more picks now.
Yeah, he's got more picks than us. So what are your first pick there, Runner?
All right, my first pick is it's a steelbook. This is a reprint actually from Sony, and I'm very glad to have this. I already have the Blu-ray, but I had to get the 4K because I've heard Tom say it's good. It looks good because it's actually shot on film, which isn't surprising because it's Quentin Tarantino, and yes, that's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, that's a gorgeous disc.
Yeah. That's nice.
This is an amazing steelbook right here.
I'm almost tempted to buy it just for that, and I don't really need it, but like,
I thought about buying it myself.
Oh, now you just damn near. Oh, fuck.
Oh, the back. You just sold it on Tom. Tom's that's like his 5th copy of that movie now.
Damn it, because I love that dog.
The dog's great.
Oh,
are you whining? I will throw this shit out. I don't want to do it, but I will.
Richard Rubenson was the George Romero guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
not
go back to this any acknowledgement other than our ire, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the discs too.
Here, let me blow you back
Yeah,
up.
those are the same thing I got, but like, the fucking that
Oh, the
cover's kinda
canisters.
nice.
Oh, nice.
And
That
considering
is
I
a
got
really
all the other
good
steelbook ones, I should do it, and then maybe if I ever find like a really good deal on it, then I can put my other one away because it doesn't sit well on my shelf.
This steelbook did have a pretty good deal when Sony started like doing all these like re-releases.
Yeah,
stuff, but I missed out on that, and I happened to like just buy this because I'm like, it's gonna go out of print at some point.
Yeah, I think it
might
might already be close to that because it was selling pretty
probably.
cheap when they first released them, but now I think the price has gone up a little bit.
I might just miss out on it. It is what it is, but yeah.
Yeah. But yes, that is. I know we've talked about this movie 100 times on here, guys, but it is really great. For whatever reason, we just really, really love this movie.
I rewatched it last night. It's so fucking good.
It's still solid. It's just a solid flick.
You're not wrong when you say this is your favorite Tarantino movie. Like, it's climbing, man.
It's not my favorite yet, but it's getting there.
Pulp
Fiction is going to be a tough one to knock off that top spot.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, as of now, for my top 3, now that I've watched this, it would be like in order. It would be like from 1 to 3. It would be Pulp Fiction, Once Upon a Time, and then oh god,
Reservoir Dogs would be mine, but yeah,
either Reservoir Dogs or Django. That's where I'd go.
Django's slowly rising on my list too, but that used to be my least favorite. But now that's got to be.
I know.
Death Proof is probably my least favorite of his. But yeah.
I'm probably out of it now because I would have Reservoir Dogs near number 1. Pulp Fiction is great. I love Pulp Fiction, but after rewatching Reservoir Dogs again, I just remembered how much I really, really liked that movie.
My least favorite so far is probably Jackie Brown, and it's a good movie. It's just my least favorite.
It's good, but yes, that is a good. That is a nice steelbook too, because now it makes me want to go buy that steelbook too.
No, I know it's
yeah, I know you. I'm the devil, and I'm here to do the devil's business. Oh no, that ain't
something
it.
Stupider than that.
Something stupid like Rex. Shoot him, Tex. That's it. Tex. You were on the horsey.
That's not exactly what he said, but it was
pretty close.
It was close. He didn't say that's it. He just said Tex, and then the dog
Tex. Yeah, you were on the horsey. He does say something about being on the horsey, though. I swear to God.
No. He does. He says to the girl. He's like, oh, I know you. I don't remember your name, but I know I recognize that hair, and you. I remember your white little face, and you.
Yep.
You were on a horse.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, yep.
That's it.
Is everybody okay? Yeah, we're fine. Well, that's a hippies. The fucking hippies are dead, but we're fine.
So good. I remember sneaking in to see this movie when I was like starting my junior year of high
It's almost
school,
like a rite of passage. That's kind of cool story too. I'll be honest with you.
Like, and honestly, it was like probably like the one like time I was like, holy shit, this is actually worth sneaking into.
Now, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Because at the time, like, I didn't know who Quentin Tarantino was when I saw the movie.
Right.
It just looked interesting, and I had a huge crush on Margot Robbie. I still do.
I mean, who doesn't?
Well, if you like her feet, they're in the movie plenty.
Yeah, right up from the bat, man.
Yeah, well, that was like my introduction to Tarantino, and then like my friend wanted to see it because it was Tarantino, and then he told me like he was like, "This is your first Tarantino movie you've ever seen," and I'm like,
"It's not a bad starter though."
No,
yeah. But then he told me like, "Okay, like these are like the movies you gotta watch from him," and then I watched Pulp Fiction, and then I watched Reservoir Dogs, and then I watched Django, and then I watched Hateful
I was gonna
Eight.
say, funnily enough, like you'd almost want to start now with like some of the latter films or Reservoir Dogs, and then get into some of the crazier shit.
Yeah,
it's almost then you kind of like ramping yourself into that.
Well, I think,
but
I was gonna say Pulp Fiction was on Netflix, so that's how I saw that movie like a few months later, and I was like, "Holy shit, I fucking love this movie."
Yeah, well, Price of Reason says his least favorite is Hateful Eight. Have you seen the extended cut?
I think they're removing it from Netflix, sadly.
No.
And that's the only way to see that at the moment, too. So
I know.
see, this is why physical media is important. They needed to release that on physical media because who knows where that'll end up if it ends up anywhere else.
I mean, I'll see when it.
He says yes. I'm saying I love Hateful Eight. It's just another one slowly growing on my list.
I've seen the theatrical cut. I did really like it when I saw it. I mean, yes, it was really damn long, but I mean that's Tarantino for you.
Oh, I love that movie. Especially the one scene is the best scene.
The one we always play.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's a semi part of it, but it's a part where Samuel's breaking it all down.
Oh.
You know, because earlier in the scene he's like, "You accusing me of something?" It's like, "No, I ain't accusing you of nothing. Just saying. It's awfully peculiar." And then when you get to the scene, he's like, "Here's the thing. It doesn't rub me right. If you were here a few months ago, you would have seen there was a sign over the bar there. And it said, no dogs or Mexicans allowed. Now, do you know why Minnie took down that sign, Mexican Bob? She started allowing dogs in." Now I'm willing to bet that old sweet Dave's blood is all over this chair. He lifts up the thing and fucking Will Gaggins. Oh, yeah, he just gets it. That's where it starts leading into. I fucking knew it. Oh, now hold on. I didn't say it was him. I love that. That scene is brilliant. The whole breakdown scene where he's got everybody up against the wall and he knows one of them, if not all of them, are working with her.
I remember that one scene. Like, I don't remember the movie a whole lot, but like I remember a part that like really was like,
now I'm accusing you.
I remember that movie, like when the third act started, it got like really fucking crazy, and I'm like, holy shit.
Because when the hangman gets you, you hang.
And I had no idea about the whole like backstory with the whole score and all that, and Tarantino basically saying like, oh, like I wanted this to be a sequel to The Thing, and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't think about that. And you know,
it really is The Thing. Yeah,
Kurt Russell's in it and all that. Yeah.
Cool.
When you got the two guys left at the end and a monster and Dahmer goo, and you know the whole thing is kind of, you know, it is very much so like The Thing. And once you know that and you hear the score, you can hear it. It's totally there. You're like, oh god, yeah.
I don't know who like the script and I don't know about it.
If I remember right, it was shit. Who was it? I don't think it was Burt Reynolds, but it was who the fuck was it? It was one of the people they ended up recasting. I'm trying to remember who originally was playing Madsen's role, because whoever that was, I think it was, is who like leaked it. Michael Madsen's role.
Yeah,
shit. Let's look it up.
Because
he was pissed about that. That was a big ordeal. I remember that. It was. Let's see here. Well, they don't say here, I don't think.
Brian Barth seems to think that it was either Tim Roth, Michael Madsen, or Bruce Stern, but
or maybe it was Madsen.
I don't know.
But I thought he fired him from it for that. But I thought I also heard a story that it was that's why Burt Reynolds wasn't in the movie, because I think, wasn't he still alive then? Or did he pass away just before that? Because I think originally that was where Bruce Dern took over his role there too. Because I think it was Hateful Eight was, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is where the role was written for him, but he died before he could be in it, and that's why Bruce Dern took over the role again.
Yeah,
I remember right. Because I could have swore that's what it was.
Maybe.
But maybe I'm wrong.
But that was a good first pick runner. It's a Quentin Tarantino. So
Yeah.
Tom, if you're
and I was gonna say,
go ahead.
not to get into this whole whole thing again, but this is what Babylon should have been.
You know what I thought you were gonna say, Runner? Which is why, not to get into this whole Bruce Lee thing again.
Oh no!
I don't know if you saw the whole big debate on the morning show or not. We had a big, huge fucking thing about that.
I remember seeing.
I had to pull out Tarantino himself to fucking show people like this is what he fucking said.
It was the argument that you and Cameron Pasha had.
Yes, he was part of it too. And then I also had the same argument with somebody else too. Yeah.
Oh, like recently?
No, I think it was both times Cameron was there, though. Well, Paul was part of it this last time because his whole thing was I'm going to watch the movie. And he watched it and he liked it. But I think he was kind of like, he kind of saw what Tarantino was doing, but he said he kind of understood why somebody would think, you know, what Cameron was feeling too. So he kind of just, it was kind of a meh thing.
Yeah.
But like,
I remember there were some people,
I'd have to go back and watch the stream again. I can't remember exact words.
I remember having conversations with people like talking about like the whole movie, like they hadn't seen it, and like they're like Tarantino fans, but at the same time they're Bruce Lee fans. So they asked me like how it was all executed, and I'm like, I liked it. I thought it was. I think
after you listen to Tarantino's explanation of it, it makes sense.
Exactly, and you know, like you, Tom,
it's a tie.
I understood it. Like I understood it when I saw it day one in the theater, like because I heard you and Cameron's like argument. I think you guys clipped it on the archive channel, and I watched that, and I'm like, I understand where Cameron
try that
coming
again
from. And like I understand where Cameron's coming from, kind of with his whole story and all that he went through, and I understand that. But in this movie, in this case, it was fine. And yeah, like I've seen the Joe Rogan clip before. Like I saw it before you showed it to the stream, and yeah, like I think when he explains it, it's like it makes so much sense. Like it's a tie because almost everyone who's seen the movie, or not everyone, but some people have like tried to point that out to people.
Yeah, makes sense. But it is a great movie, and that is
but like this is a good representation of like what like a movie, like kind of like a story of like the 60s, and like Babylon, like that was like in the 20s.
No, it's a great mashup of a lot of those things. You're right, Runner. Like it hits on all those points of the television of the era, the movies of the era. You got Bruce Lee, you've got, you know, the whole thing with Margot Robbie's character, the Sharon Tate deal with and then the Manson little bit going into it, and he's supposed to be doing an extended cut of that like he did for Hateful Eight as well, but I've yet to see it surface. Plus he supposedly was going to be doing, like, I don't know if he shot enough while they were doing it, but he said something about some Bounty Law episodes too making their way to Netflix. But he's working on some other show now, so I have no idea what's going on. But yeah.
I love that idea, honestly. I'd love to see that. And I remember like wanting to see the film and all that. And I don't know if I told you the story, Tom, or it's like really short, but like my dad like told me like, hey, like there's probably going to be some shit in this movie you're not going to understand. Like the one thing you're probably going to, at least the only reference you're going to know is the whole Bruce Lee stuff. That's it.
That's what he said to you, or you said to him?
No, he said that to me.
Oh, okay. That's why I was like confused for a minute there.
Yeah. No. He doesn't think I'd like understand like the whole like backstory of everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes more sense now than the telling. That was my fault.
So he had to like tell me like a shorter story about what the movie is sort of about, and then I told him like, well, I'll tell you this: she doesn't get killed at the end. They do a whole switcheroo type thing, and I thought it was done brilliantly.
And that's the other thing with Bruce Lee is you got to remember this is Tarantino's skewed vision of the world, right? Like,
Exactly.
And he's already implied that these kind of movies in his universe, Kill Bill, these kind of movies, his revisionist trilogy, as some people call it, you know, those are movies that he says his characters in like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs and Jackie Brown would watch in their universe. So they're not actually supposed to be taken as literally as, say, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, or that kind of shit. Hateful Eight is, on the other hand, is supposed to be like a historical because like I can't remember which character, but there's like one or two of the characters that actually has a connection with characters that are they're supposed to be like relatives of characters in like Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs.
So in a way,
he has his own little like universe. That's the thing.
I was gonna say, is it like his own like kind of?
He has two Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah,
universes.
it's like two levels to it, and that's what I was trying to say. Because you have the main level, which is like Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown.
Yep.
The more real level movies, and then when you get to like Kill Bill, Inglourious Bastards, that kind of shit, and even like From Dusk Till Dawn is supposed to be movies
From Dusk Till Dawn and True Romance.
The characters that in his universe watch instead of them being like, more stories in his universe, right?
You're right, because it's got that, like those movies he named in those like sort of sections kind of have that tone where like it makes sense that it would all connect.
Yeah, it's kind of a loose thing, but
yeah, which makes sense because like when I was watching Reservoir Dogs, there's legitimately the characters say some of the exact same lines as are said in From Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, legitimately the same lines. So you could say they watched that movie, and so that's why they're saying those lines.
Well, and you did know like John Travolta's character in Pulp Fiction is the brother,
of Michael Madsen's character.
Michael Madsen's character in, because Michael Madsen was originally supposed to play both characters.
Yep, I knew that.
I know Tarantino wanted him to play the Vincent character, but I guess he ended up getting John Travolta.
And the only thing that's weird about From Dusk Till Dawn, about the whole movie thing, unless it's just like the movie itself trying to reference the real world, is in the background of the one scene on the screen, the Gecko brother or the Vega brothers are wanted.
Yeah,
because that was supposed to lead to a spinoff that he never got made, because he was going to make a Vega brothers movie.
Yeah, he was supposed to with Tom. Almost said Tom Cruise.
What about
John Travolta?
John Travolta,
What about True Romance? Do you think that would have any connection to his movie?
That's his movie verse where they watch.
Is it in the movie verse? That was one I always questioned, but I never was for sure if that was the movie verse or if that was one of his real world, because that actually kind of fits in the real world.
Yeah, it kind of does, but I think I read because he wrote it and not directed it, it fits in his movie verse.
Tony Scott,
where they watch movies. Yeah,
but that's one he's always kind of considered one of his. If you listen to his commentary, he talks like it's
movie, though,
it's a great fucking commentary. It's one of the best commentaries I would listen to.
I need to listen to commentary.
I wish he did more. That's what makes me fucking cry. He never done a commentary since then. It's like, my God, it's one of the most amazing audio commentaries of all time. Brother never did another one since.
Dude, that sucks. I never thought he did any commentaries.
Only for Reservoir Dogs, because he was a huge Laserdisc freak. So that commentary for True Romance, and did he do one for Reservoir Dogs? I think he did one for Reservoir Dogs, and only those two because he was a huge Laserdisc freak. And so like his True Romance one and his Reservoir Dogs ones are fucking amazing, but he never did another one after that.
That sucks.
I think he popped up on somebody else's commentary, which is funky because I think he might be on I think it's Sin City or some other one he might be on.
He's actually does commentary on the TV show Spaced.
And then he's done shit like that too. Well, there was that other thing where he had a stint there where he kept showing up on TV shows that he liked. And then not only that, he was dating what was it, Margaret Cho or whatever fuck her name was, that had that show for a year. So there was like a whole fucking Tarantino episode of it. Where she was like, her parents and her were like, they were immigrants from, I think it was whatever it was, can't remember if it was China or Korea. I'm so sorry.
I think they're Korean.
I can't remember specifically. I apologize. But anyhow, so they were dating at the time. So he was in like a whole episode of that, and it had like a bunch of really bad Pulp Fiction jokes in it and shit. And he showed up in weird shit. I mean, he is the best part of Muppet Wizard of Oz. I'll say that much. Because that is actually the worst Muppet movie, hands down. I take that. Well, maybe. I have to watch Muppets Most Wanted again. Because between those two, those are the two most worst worst Muppet movies ever made. And for those who've not seen or even heard of Muppet Wizard of Oz, that was the tail end of the Disney days back when they did Muppet Treasure Island and Muppet Christmas Carol. This was one they did with Brandy as, I think it was, as as fucking Dorothy. And of course the Muppets as the Wizard of Oz. And there's this one scene where it cuts from the movie to like the fourth wall, and it's Tarantino like saying his version of it, like he's going to direct it, to Kermit. And it's basically like Kill Bill meets Wizard of Oz. It's the funniest scene in the whole fucking movie. Otherwise, the rest of the movie is trash. And it's kind of cringe at the same time.
I've never even heard of that Muppet movie, honestly.
Let me see. Maybe I could. I hate doing this to you because I know, the clip thing, but if you don't think we'll get in trouble, maybe. Let me see here. Tarantino.
No, Disney can be butts. I know it's not like, because they have the Muppets now.
Yeah, I know. Well, that is a Disney Muppet movie, unfortunately. It was an earlier one, too.
I would, too. Could you imagine?
But this is kind of a lower radar one. Maybe they won't bother you with it. But if they do, I apologize.
Hey,
but if you don't want to show it.
You can show a little bit of it.
A Tarantino Muppet movie would be the greatest Muppet movie ever. I'm sorry.
Just as Dorothy and the Wicked Witch charge at each other, bam! Blowout fight scene. The gals whip out these huge samurai swords. I'm talking kung fu. I'm talking walking on walls. I'm talking explosions everywhere. I'm talking Oz in flames! Burn, baby, burn!
Okay, Michael Bay.
Well, yeah, that sounds a bit violent for a family film.
Okay, cool, okay. We pull back on the fight scene. No explosions, no burn, baby, burn. All right, less kung fu.
Yeah.
But instead, what we have, are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Morphing.
Morphing?
For real?
We're talking Piggy transforming into Gonzo, mutating into Scooter, Scooter turning into a big, busty vampire vixen who explodes in a sea of crimson blood. All done in the classic Japanese anime style, like for the kids.
Yeah, Disney wouldn't do this crap nowadays at all.
No, this is like 2005, 6, something like that. It's right around the Kill Bill time.
Don't worry about it. Think. I got it. Dorothy. Bad. Dorothy goes to kick the Wicked Witch. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready for this? Here it comes.
Yes.
In the face.
Oh, now that we can afford.
Yes.
Yeah, so then it goes back to the movie, but yeah. It's like I said, it's kind of, that's the only funny part of the whole fucking movie. The rest of it is so fucking cringe. It's bad.
They would do that shit nowadays, but yeah, that was pretty cool.
It is not as cringe as I remember it, actually.
Not really, huh? Tarantino made it.
Oh yeah, he made it work.
Yeah. But let's move on to you, Tom. What's your first pick of the night?
Oh Lord. Where do I start here? Well, since I spoiled this one already on 4K for you, why don't I do this one first, I guess. This is the only 4K movie I have this week. And that is the Studio Canal version of Cat's Eye, which I have the Warner copy here. And, I probably should just bring up what I brought up earlier to show you the problem with this disc, because this is a major issue. I have a feeling maybe even Bill Hunt will possibly report on this. Let me get this up here, because this looks like shit, which sucks because it's a really nice scan, but they fucked up. Valiant tried to explain earlier what he thinks it was that happened, but there's some color timing issue or something happened in the process of, and this thing has a huge issue, and I noticed it right away.
Yeah, I saw that you posted something about that.
Okay, so as you'll see here, let me make this big here. So this is going to show you the difference between the Warner Brothers Blu-ray and the new Studio Canal 4K. And I don't even have to tell you, I'm sure you can notice already that everything that's supposed to be white is now green or yellow.
That's that nice little yellow Studio Canal does on just about everything.
And it is, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. This is not the first time this has happened.
Wow.
Bill and Ted has this problem. Now that you mention it, I just realized that. Bill and Ted has this problem. People have been griping about Red Sonja, which I don't have anything to really compare it to offhand, so I can't, but I can imagine just seeing this shit. And there was another one too I remember bitching a little bit about it, but I can't remember offhand which one it was. But as you can see, this is a huge issue with the color. But what's funny is as it gets closer to the end of the movie, it's not so bad. See, because what sucks is this is a great scan. Like, it looks great outside of the color. Like, you can see the resolution difference, and this is just 2K, 720p or whatever that we're watching here. But yeah, so you see when you get to this final act, the colors start to look more natural.
That doesn't look too bad.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the only act that doesn't look so bad. Now, this shot is a little bit more orange.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, see, by this time now, everything starts to get a little bit more warmer than it does. This is one of the best shots as far as the newer versions.
Oh, yeah, that looks good right there.
And that's what makes me sad is, like, this movie does look good otherwise. Like, it's a great scan. The effects hold up. And as you can see, this final act looks amazing because the old Blu-ray clearly has too much blue in that part.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we think it looks so much better. But, so, I mean, it could be a balance in between the two. Like, the original one has too much blue in it, which makes the white, look more natural, which would be a cooler kind of tint to it or whatever.
Yeah.
But, like, this is, something's about this. But the movie itself is great. It actually holds up very well. I mean, I've seen it over the years. Like I said, I had the Blu-ray here. I think I watched this, maybe 5-10 years ago, somewhere in between there. It was like whatever. But this time watching it outside of the print problem, like, I enjoyed the movie a lot better than I remembered enjoying it. Like, I think it held up, or at least it aged a lot better.
It's a pretty solid anthology movie.
Because I remember the centerpiece. I remember the centerpiece for some reason lagging a lot more than it did this time around. Like, I feel like that, like when I was younger or when I've watched it in the past, that scene just seemed to, that whole story, that middle story just kind of seemed to drag the fuck on for some reason. This time around didn't seem to drag so much. Still the least of the film, right? Like, because the James Wood is the stronger, and the final, of course, story is the two stronger stories, the last one being the best.
Yeah.
So they, for some reason, sandwiched the worst of the three stories in the middle. Which, speaking of Pulp Fiction, that's kind of what this is. Is kind of Stephen King's Pulp Fiction, if you think about it. Yeah, it's PG-13. I also forgot that it was PG-13. Well, not just that, Greg. Not so much as it's just connected, but all these stories are basically not so much like EC Comics stories so much, although the first one does seem like and the last one seems like EC Comics story. That middle story is very much a pulp story. Yeah. It's the type of story that Tarantino would use in one of his movies. It's the story of you're sleeping with the big bad mobster's wife, and you're trying to run off, and he catches you. Right? Like that's kind of one of the whole kind of setups is in some of those pulp stories is like that kind of thing. So that story almost feels out of place with the rest of these, actually. Because the only way the cat factors into that one is the luck factor in the beginning part of it. And then he just kind of, whatever. He doesn't play another role in that fucking story. And it's like, and then he's, really heavy duty at the end. He doesn't really play a big role in the first story either. But James Woods really helps that story. And not only that, that's a pretty solid story. Mm-hmm. And again, it could also kind of be a pulp story because it has the mobster element to it. Now, Runners probably has no clue what we're talking about.
Yeah, he has never seen this.
Okay, I'll back up to the beginning. When this movie starts out, you see a cat running down the road and it's being chased by Cujo. Then it almost gets hit by Christine. And I swear, for some reason swear there was supposed to be a girl that looked like Carrie, but I guess there's not. But anyhow, yeah, so they have that little like kind of tidbit because it's actually from the same director as Cujo as well. So that dog in the movie is Cujo.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, I'm not 100% on the car. I think that's the same car from the John Carpenter film, but I'm not 100% on that. Because those two, I think that movie came out the year before this, right? Because that was 83, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so this, and then this. So then when you go from there, it jumps right into the James Woods story. And what James Woods' story is about is he kind of signs himself up for this program to quit smoking. And you come to find out this program is run by the mob. So they watch your every move, and when you fuck up, their incentive to get you to stop smoking is to do something usually to your family members.
Yep.
And they have this room that's electrified, and this is how the cat gets brought in, because they throw the cat in there to show you what happens. And that's kind of the only real part he plays in the story that much, from my recollection. And then, so that's kind of the setup, is James Woods trying to quit smoking, and, you know, he has this situation. And then the second part is the mob's, you know, the guy, it's totally different guy, mob, but, you know, his wife is sleeping around with this old tennis player, I think it is, or baseball, I think it's tennis player. And he gets caught by the mob guy, the mafia guy, or the Godfather, whatever you want to call it. And he goes, I'll let you live, and even take my wife if you can walk around the vicinity of this building. There's this little lip on the ledge. So, and of course, the whole time around, he's like fucking with him, you know. So that's the second story. And then the third story is with Drew Barrymore's little girl, and there's this monster that keeps coming in her room at night that's trying to steal her breath. And this is based on the old wives' tales that you're not supposed to leave cats in a room alone with kids or babies, because they would supposedly come and steal their breath. Well, so basically the mom in the scenario, she hates the cat, doesn't want the cat anywhere in the house, and thinks the cat is going to kill the bird, which the bird gets killed, but it's actually by the little goblin creature. Yeah, but she blames it on the bird. And that goblin is great how they do it. Carlo Rambaldi did the mask work on it. And it's actually an actor in huge sets, like oversized sets, and some green screen. Not much green screen, but just a little. And so it looks amazing. It's really well done. And so you have this little goblin creature who comes in the room, and the only defense this little girl has is the cat. You know, so like so that next night the goblin comes in the room, starts stealing Drew Barrymore's breath, so she can't breathe even, and the cat's desperately trying to get in the room to save her, and it's this really great sequence with this fight with the goblin and the cat. And it's a real highlight of the film, and it looks amazing with the special effects and everything.
Yes, sir.
It makes the whole movie worth it, even though, like I said, the rest of the movie holds up a lot better than my memory. So
yeah, I think it's a pretty,
sadly. I hope I can't recommend this release of it, but hopefully Warner Brothers gets a clean scan of it when they get their version of it, because they usually get whatever that gets done, and then hopefully they recolor time it, because otherwise this movie looks great outside of the yellow tint. So yeah,
it's Studio Canal. I don't honestly, Brian Barth, I don't know why they keep doing it. I think they think they're doing good, and I don't think they realize. I just really don't think they realize it.
Go back and listen to 4K for You. Valiant gave some various scenarios on what could have happened.
Yes. But I remember that movie. I remember it being solid. I think one of the reasons why it's such a solid anthology is it's only 3 stories. So they're not like, not like 5 or 6 stories, so that helps. And plus, they try to keep the cat intertwined. And plus, that, like you said, that last one really holds up. And I remember that's one I remember the most, because that goblin scared the crap out of me, because I had to keep my feet covered up because I was afraid his little knife was going to poke me in the feet when I was a kid, because I saw I was a kid. So yeah,
Frank Welker's little.
It's a pretty good one. I like it. But yeah, I definitely don't think I'll pick up that 4K now. So. I'm not a fan of that yellow tint, but the ending, like some of them in the ending there, look great.
Which sucks, because there's special features for once on this, not a ton, but because the old one doesn't have shit. This one's got the commentary with the director, an interview with the director, interview with Johnny Mathis, conversation with Ann Miller, the cat wrangler. So yeah, it's actually got some decent special features, I guess. But yeah, just wait and see if Warner Brothers doesn't do a stateside release and they get a possibly better release. But I'm not going to hold my breath because I was hoping the same thing for Shout Factory when they did Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and guess what? It's the same it's the exact same. Yep. And that's when I pointed out that it even changes, like, because I always said that the MGM disc kind of leaned too much into the blue. Mm-hmm. But this one cranks it up so far that the opening title that is like Bill and Ted's Excellent, where the excellent's blue, it is green on the 4K.
That's that yellow coming across it.
Yep, it's exactly what made me think of that too when we're sitting here like talking about all this. I'm like, this is not the first time the people who have said this are right. I'm trying to think of other titles now that if they've done that too, because I don't think Raw Deal looked that bad. I think Raw Deal looked pretty good, even considering that's not even.
There
from
was
the whole
one
negative.
I can't remember that people was really, really complaining about, the yellow one, and I know.
I wish I could remember now what it was.
I can't remember too.
Because I'd go back and look at it now.
And I think is Studio Canal, are they the one doing The Hitcher with Rutger Hauer? Or is that Second Sight? I can't remember if that's Second Sight.
I think a boutique is putting it out, but I think Studio Canal owns the distribution outside of the U.S. But I'd have to look on that.
Yeah, some people were worried about that one getting a big yellow tint, considering most of that's in the desert. So,
well, they recently did like Reservoir Dogs, and I was afraid of that one looking like shit. Mm-hmm. But luckily, I think Tarantino had his say over that. So yeah.
Yeah, Brad Barth 4K for You is the show we do on Wednesday earlier on Tom's channel.
You can go find it on Mead, Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Yep. All right.
So yeah, let's go on to you because sadly there's not much more I can say than that about it. I wish I could.
Yeah, that kind of sucks because I do actually like that anthology.
Yeah.
My first pick is High Plains Drifter on 4K from Kino Lorber.
Nice. I'm still waiting on mine.
It's a nice little 4K. I can't say that this is like reference 4K. Like if you have a 4K TV and a 4K player, you put in High Plains Drifter. No, this ain't that type of 4K. The picture quality is great. It's the best it's probably ever going to be. It's got nice film grain. It's got really the day scenes, especially out in the open, are really great. Him in the shadows and stuff really plays well because he's supposed to be in the shadows a lot. So it's got like a lot of darkness to it. So like it's great 4K, it's clear and everything, but this isn't like what I would say like oh, you got to see this 4K, but it's a great 4K, great quality, clear, bright, shadows dark, but it's a good one, and it's probably my favorite Clint Eastwood Western next to Unforgiven and Hang 'em High. I really like Hang 'em High. So yeah, this is my favorite one. This inspired the movie The Wraith with Charlie Sheen. So is
this the one that came out in the 70s or the 80s? I'm trying to remember.
This came out in 1973.
Okay, so Pale Rider's the other one I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, Pale Rider.
Yeah, because Josie Wales the other one I really like too. But
yeah, I like Josie Wales too. I really do. But no, I'm not trying to put down. This is a really, really great 4K. It's awesome. It looks great. But I'm just like, I just want you to be aware, like, if you're putting in a movie for like some like huge special effects and like real things. No. This has got the film grain. It feels like a 70s film. It feels like you're watching the actual print of the film. So it looks great.
Is that an MGM title, or is that what his Warner when he went to Warner?
This is Universal.
Universal, of course, yeah, duh. He's Universal years. Okay. Yeah. So it's in between all that. Okay, never mind. I just was wondering.
Yes, and
so Universal probably did the scan anyway. So there you go.
Yeah. I believe it says Universal did the scan. So it looks good. It's a great scan. And I believe that Pale Rider actually opens the same way this opens, with them coming riding out of the desert in the haze.
Oh, yeah. That's probably why I always get them fucked up, too.
Yeah, because they have like the same opening and the same ending almost. They're almost identical. So that's why a lot of people confuse these two. So, in High Plains Drifter, how did not anyone recognize Clint? Because now, see, I was watching this because I watched some of the special features and stuff. Because to me, spoiler alert to anybody who has never seen this movie, but this movie came out in 1973. So if you haven't seen it, it's not my fault if I'm spoiling the ending for you. Okay, so Clint Eastwood is a stranger. He's not. What's that, Runner?
No, I was just gonna say, I was just jokingly saying, "Damn it," because I
Oh.
hadn't seen the movie.
Yeah. So
Spoil it away, ruin it
spoil
for
it.
me.
It's yeah. So he's not the man with no name in this, because I was reading up on this too, because like Pell Rider in this, he's called the Stranger, which is similar to his character with the man with no name. But he's a stranger. He rides into this small town of Lago, and he's like this gunfighter and stuff. And the marshal was killed, whipped to death there outside. And Clint Eastwood actually has dreams of this marshal being killed. And so I was watching it. It was left ambiguous as to whether or not Clint Eastwood's character is actually the marshal come back as an angel of vengeance, or the death vengeance guy, whatever, or if he was actually the marshal's brother who had like a supernatural connection to him. Now, that comes from when the original script that he was actually supposed to be the brother of the marshal of the town. And it's actually, I believe, left in some prints of the movie in like Spain and Italy, where they say he's his brother in their language, but in America, it's not. Now, to me, as I've always seen it and as I've watched it, I believe he's the marshal. In my head canon, he is the marshal to come back to exact vengeance on this town for them not helping him, to these three guys. And so, because this is a revenge story, he's not a nice character in this. He does a lot of bad things to these people in this town. But once the story unfolds, you understand why he's doing these bad things, because they deserve these bad things that's happening to him. They deserve it for what happened to the marshal. And the reason, Brian Bart, that they actually don't recognize him is the marshal that they whipped to death was actually Clint Eastwood's stunt double. He directed Dirty Harry Sudden Impact, and he directed Any Which Way You Can or Any Which Way But You Lose. But he was Clint Eastwood's stunt double, much like, that's why I brought this on, much like in the fuck we just talked about it with Quentin Tarantino. What's the movie runner?
Once Upon a Time in
Once Upon a Time in
Hollywood.
Hollywood. Much like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the stunt double worked with Clint Eastwood for years. They did a lot of things together. So he doubled. He was the marshal that was whipped to death, and that's why it was left to see if whether that they look similar, that they didn't look similar. Were they brothers? Were they not brothers? But to me, I believe he is the marshal. That's my opinion. If you don't, that's okay. I don't think you can really go wrong either way. And like I said, if you've ever seen the Charlie Sheen movie, The Wraith, where the guy comes back in the car and starts taking out his revenge on it's the same movie. The director even says so in the Vestron special features that they just came out with. He said the movie was inspired by High Plains Drifter. And it's pretty much the same movie. But yes, this is one of my favorite Westerns. Great 4K, great sound. If you've not seen it, I recommend it if you're into Westerns and stuff. So I was really happy to get this. So there you go. Any words from anybody? Because I know Runner, I guarantee you've never seen it.
No,
yes,
I haven't.
I agree that it was wise of Clint Eastwood, because he's the one that decided he didn't want it to be so on the nose of who he actually was. So he took out the brother stuff. And to me, I think that was him saying they were the same character in my mind, in my head canon, at least. So if Runner, I think this might be a Western you could get into.
I might get it. I'm thinking about making some type of Kino purchase at some point, because for my next pick, it is a Kino Lorber 4K.
Well,
believe it or not.
We'll get right to you. But yeah, if you've not seen this movie, see it. Tom, I would like to hear what you think about it when you get it. What's up, Pop Retro? Glad you popped in to say hi. Enjoy your day at work. But yeah, this is, if you like Pale Rider, I would say you'll probably like High Plains Drifter. They're very similar. This one is, I really dig this one because you know me. If you know me, you see my channel. I like the supernatural horror elements, and it's like a supernatural horror Western starring Clint Eastwood. And that right there sells me on the freaking movie. It's a great flick. The scene when he rides into town and he goes to the barber to get a shave, and the barber is just so freaking nervous and shaking, and these other guys in town coming to get Clint Eastwood, and Clint Eastwood just lays waste to him. It sets the mood for the whole movie, so you know what you're in store for. So it's a great flick. Great flick. I enjoy it, and I'm glad to have the 4K because it's a good 4K.
That's good.
Yeah. And with all that being said, Runner, what's your next pick?
My next pick is it's an old black and white movie directed by Stanley Kubrick that stars Kirk Douglas. And Tom's already shown this movie before, but I got it for Christmas. It is Paths of Glory.
What'd you
Oh,
think?
I enjoyed it. It was
It's
pretty
a good story, isn't it?
Yeah, the only thing is I watched it like super late at night and I didn't have like the volume on too high, so I need to rewatch it like with like in the middle of the day with like the volume on like where it should be so I understand like so I can hear the dialogue better. But yeah, it's a good movie. Other than that, I like, there's a lot of aspects in this I love.
now this is one I have not seen that you guys have got one up on me. So
Yeah, but oh my god, this slipcover, man, is so fucking good.
it is a nice slipcover.
I got this actually. I didn't get this from the Kino Lorber website, believe it or not. I got it from Target because my cousin gave me a
Target
gift card.
has. Oh, you got it offline at Target?
Yeah. I
I
got it
was gonna say
online.
they have Kino titles.
Oh, that'd be amazing if they did, but no. You can only get them. I just searched up on like the website. Like I went to Target, but like their selection like sucks ass. So I went to the website and I searched up 4K movies and I looked up like what stuff I wanted to get, and I'm like I debated on so many movies on what to get, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go Paths of Glory. Why not?
So, it sounds really good. I've been wanting to see it, especially because I talked about the Tales from the Crypt episode I watched with him. That sounds very familiar to that movie. So I'm thinking it was an homage to that movie. So I really, really want to see that movie. So I need to get that.
Yeah, it's a I like it. It's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Mm.
This slipcover alone and just the artwork is amazing.
It's nice.
I don't think that's what the original poster looked like. Is that true, Tom?
I think it might be.
Because if you look up the poster or the way the poster is on the IMDb page, it's like completely different. It's the same image, but like different colors.
It might depend on what release it was too, because sometimes when they used to re-release movies back in the day, they would change that shit up sometimes, and sometimes it gets swapped over for whatever they use for several video releases or whatever. And
Yeah.
you got to usually kind of look up, because they used to have like generally they'd have anywhere from 2 or 3 different poster types, and then you got various ones for other countries and stuff like that too. So it all depends, but I'm pretty sure just by the looks of that poster, it looks pretty time appropriate for that era that it came out.
But the art is amazing in this alone.
So how's the black and white look on 4K?
Pretty decent.
It looks pretty good.
I think they had the negative for this from what does it say in the back there, Runner?
Let me check. Yeah, it says this special features brand new Dolby Vision HDMI master from 4K scan of the original camera negative. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, it's from the original source, which is pretty cool. Yeah, and I mean what was I gonna say? The cinematography in this movie is fucking gorgeous.
You gotta love them good old classics. I mean, there was something about those movies back in the day, the way they shot the film, the acted. It's just they're awesome.
And like once you get to the whole like trenches, like just those parts alone, like the sound design, the effect.
Yeah, you can really kind of tell where Kubrick, like this is kind of his.
Like all this shit blowing up as they're trying to like get across. It's so damn good.
This is the first time you can really say he's starting to come into his own, and it feels like a Kubrick movie, probably.
Yeah.
Because I think I've seen the one other one he did before this, but I can't remember how many he did before this. But then, because then he went from this to Spartacus, and then he did.
I still need to watch Spartacus.
I can't remember. I think he did 2001, and then he did Doctor Strangelove. But he did. What did he do in between there? I'm trying to remember when he did Lolita. And then, then he did Barry Lyndon, and, well, that was after Clockwork Orange. So, yeah, so by that time, he was pretty solid in his style, right? Like, 2001 was kind of his Pulp Fiction, or whatever you want to call it.
I was going to say, yeah, that 2001 was kind of that, because 2001 came out in, like, late 60s, and then A Clockwork Orange came out, I think, early 70s.
71 or 72, yeah, something like
I think it
that.
was 71 or 72. Yeah, you're right.
Nice. Cool. Now I have to get on
For
this.
some reason, Strangelove. See, Strangelove and 2001 are the two I always fuck up. Because I think, I'm trying to remember. People in the chat will. Anyway, move.
Yeah. The Killing is from 56 is excellent. Ooh, I don't think I've heard of that one.
Let me look
That's
up
one of his I got to watch yet.
I still haven't gotten that one yet, but you can watch the trailers for The Killing and Killer's Kiss as like bonus features in the Paths of Glory disc.
Huh. I'm gonna have to look that up. So yeah, definitely. Probably not anyone like Kubrick. I don't think we'll get a lot of
Somewhere
directors
between
like
Nolan and Villeneuve are probably the closest you can get at this point, maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
And even they're not quite the same, but yeah.
No, but like I mean, despite whether you like Nolan or not, like as a filmmaker, like you can tell he's like a huge Stanley Kubrick fan.
Yeah.
And
I think Oppenheimer is going to definitely prove that.
I know. I like literally with the atomic bomb explosion, I'm like, oh man, he's going to make this his Doctor Strangelove. Except like less of it as a comedy, of course. But like, I mean, yeah. Because like if you see him in like interviews and stuff, like he's like a huge nerd when it comes to his work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is a good pick, Runner. Damn it, you guys get one up on me. I can't let Runner get one up on me, so I'm gonna have to get a hold of that movie eventually.
Well,
like I said,
here's the thing. I want to be a filmmaker one day, so I have to watch shit like this. But I
but
do recommend it to you. I'm not saying it's good shit.
just messing with you. I know what you were saying. I was just messing with you. That's good though. I really do want to see that. I'm really interested in seeing that. I'm gonna have to look that up for myself. I got to recuperate after Christmas to get my funds back in order, and then hopefully I'll be able to buy some new titles here soon.
I feel you, man.
Yeah. So, Tom, what do you got for us? What's your next pick?
Oh well, some people may already know this was gonna come up, but when it's love you give, I'll be a man of good faith. The Three Musketeers. With of course Kiefer Sutherland. Can you guys even see that there?
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Oliver Platt, Rebecca De Mornay, Tim Curry, Chris O'Donnell. I ended up much like Robin Hood for some fucking reason.
I love that movie. Yeah.
I didn't like it. I actually hated this. Like Robin Hood I was kind of meh on when I was a kid. I did not like this one at all. I love the soundtrack, but I hated the one song on the soundtrack. For some reason, I liked Tim Curry, of course, but I don't know what it was. It just didn't click with me when it first came out. This time around, I had a lot of fun with it.
That's cool.
A lot
Is that
of fun
available
with it.
like buy separately on Blu-ray? Not to interrupt you. Sorry.
Well, funnily enough, what do you mean? I don't know if you mean by buy separately, but this is a Disney Movie Club exclusive.
Yeah, that's what I say. It's Disney Club, so that means.
And that's what I did. I actually I do it every couple of years. I'll get into the Disney Movie Club for that reason, just so I can get their exclusives. Because I've seen they had Black Cauldron, this one, No Mobile, and a couple other ones I hadn't gotten yet that I wanted. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get back in again just so I can get. That's the only thing I really buy from theirs is their exclusives. Yeah, really. So, yeah.
But I actually really do enjoy that movie. I think Kiefer Sutherland is great. I love Oliver Platt's. Is he Orthos? Isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah,
and I hate that they say 25th anniversary edition because there's absolutely no special features whatsoever on this. It is the flattest.
Not even the music video with Sting and Bryan Adams.
Which is lame. Lame. No. Because that I know does have a music video, god damn it.
Yes. And by the way, I made a video on that
Robin Hood. On the video?
Yes. And I made a video on that Robin Hood music video thing, and I wasn't the only one. people, it's not on YouTube anywhere. I guess there's something to do with the licensing thing. Some people found it on Facebook, but it's not in good quality. So
there is one. So
there
I'm
is
not
a-
wrong.
there's
Okay.
one. Yeah.
Why the hell did Warner Music make that so impossible? A&M, I guess, is actually who. Maybe it is the company between the two of them arguing. Who knows?
Yeah.
That could very well be.
It's something to do with it, but yes, there is a music video, and it does on the VHS. It plays during the credits, but the actual music video can be found somewhere on Facebook. Apparently, people have put in my comment section. But that video actually blew up. So shout out to everybody that watched that. You guys really blew that video up for me.
This is one of those movies where you watch when you get to the credits when the song starts. You're like, did they time the credits to the song or the song to the credits? Because it plays the exact single version of the song from beginning to end. And you're just sitting there going, wow.
I don't want to turn it off just yet.
Well, no, you just ask yourself, did they do that? Which was it? Is it the chicken that came? Like, is it that
first?
They had the credits and they're like, all right, Sting, Brian,
Do it. Do your thing.
Rod, you've got
Rod
3
Stewart.
minutes and 58 seconds. That's it. Not a second more. Not a second less. No, here's probably what happened is they recorded the song and then they timed the speed of the credits to go with the song is what happened.
But I've actually always enjoyed that version of Three Musketeers. It was one of my favorites for so long.
I don't remember what I disliked about it so much when I was younger. Maybe it was I was getting to that I hate Disney phase or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I was at that point. That was just one of the ones that just kind of fell flat with me. But so did Robin Hood the first time out. Maybe I just wasn't ready for that. Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Your kids are going to love it.
But my kids are going to love it. When I was a big kid, I loved it. When I was a little kid, I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would have been like 13, I think, when this came out. So, I don't know. Maybe it just didn't resonate with me in that sense. Because I do remember liking Dick Tracy, and I like it even the same or more now.
Now, see, I was the
Rabbit, I like
opposite.
more and shit like that. But yeah,
I
go ahead.
didn't much care for Dick Tracy when I first saw it as a kid, but later on when I rewatched it as more grown up, I actually enjoyed the movie. So, but I always enjoyed Robin Hood and I always enjoyed the Three Musketeers. It was weird.
I
I highly doubt that Runner's ever seen it.
Yeah, because he was just saying as you said that I've never seen it.
At least I don't think so. Probably not. No.
Funnily enough, I don't know if anybody's seen. They're actually making a new Three Musketeers movies, and it looks like it's actually a French movie.
We've actually didn't we just get one not too long ago, like a couple of years back?
Yeah, with Logan Lemire or whatever.
Yeah. 3D
this
version.
This one's going to star Eva Green, which I know I seen her, but I didn't really watch it. But I think it's actually in French. Everybody speaks French, and it's actually made from the French people. So,
well, the only other Musketeer movies I've ever seen in my lifetime that I can recall, like I was trying to remember. I know there's one like either sci-fi or action movie that's kind of loosely based on it. That's not Musketeers.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one myself.
What it was, but like anyhow. Other than that was like years and years and years and years ago on TV when I was a little kid, I seen like the 3 and 4 Musketeers, but I barely remember them. All I remember is like Peter O'Toole or whatever's in them, or what's it say? It's not Peter O'Toole. Shit, what the hell's his name? British.
Oh
dude.
yeah, from Austin Powers, the guy from Austin Powers.
Yes, the guy from Austin Powers. What the fuck's
I
his
can't
name?
think of his name
Peter
either, but I know who
O'Rourke.
you're talking about.
I think it's Peter O'Rourke. That's what it is. I think he's a Peter, but it's O'Rourke. Anyway, that's all I fucking remember is that he's in it. Like I don't really remember anything else other than that, and that the movies were filmed. You know, I know more about the history of the movies than I do remember about the movies themselves.
We can thank those movies for Richard Lester coming on to Superman 2.
I'm way off. Michael York. Thank you, Brian.
Michael,
Jesus
yes,
Christ.
Michael York.
Yes,
Peter
the Richard Lester Three Musketeer films would be the only closest thing I would have to any reference other than the Mickey and the Musketeers or whatever that Disney one was they did when my kid was
the Disney one,
I remember seeing that movie.
They actually
the
had
only reason I did is because it came out when my kid was a kid. Otherwise, it would never even be on my radar.
I only really watched it because like my sister is like really big into Disney movies and stuff, and I would always watch that stuff with her.
Well, and I just say that because I didn't pay enough attention to it to really give it. Like, I couldn't tell you now if it was even remotely. Because that's the thing. Some people were, because I had a few people come on and say, "Oh, that fucker sucks." It's like it's the worst adaptation or something. You know, it's like, duh, this is the Young Guns fucking.
It's true.
Three Musketeers. What the hell did you expect? It's exactly what it is. It's like what do we got here? Three Musketeers. What if we took that with Young Guns and make like, yes, we'll even get half the cast.
It's perfect. It is the most American of the Three Musketeers that you will see.
Nobody bothers speaking any fucking French whatsoever.
Straight up American accents, like there's
only like two people who have a British accent. And that's like Tim Curry and like one or two of the other side characters or what have you. But like, and then the women have British accents too, aside from Rebecca De Mornay, of course.
Yeah,
but like. And yeah,
it's a fun movie though.
I'm like, of course, you want to go at it like, is this the most accurate? Like, probably like whatever. Fuck no. This is the Disney of the '90s MTV version of fucking Three Musketeers. Is what this is. This, you know what this is? Look at this cover. Okay, tell me what this cover invokes to you. This is the prototype for Pirates of the Caribbean.
I was literally
look at it.
Say that.
Yeah,
come on.
It is.
Here's the thing. In my head, I was thinking Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm like, I gotta slow that down.
It is the same energy,
the same all around.
Yeah, it's like, and I think this was a fairly decent hit at the time. I don't think it was a blockbuster like Robin Hood was, but but it came at the tail end of that. Let's put young, hot American actors in these obviously British, French, what have you stories. And that's where we've got, of course, Robin Hood, you know, Prince of Thieves and this. And there's a couple of them like that in that era. But
you should bring that up tonight, Tom.
Well, maybe that's a good place for us to jump from there, because unless you have anything more to say about the movie, because that can be arranged.
Tim Curry, I love it. That can be the evil cardinal. well, continuing on, sort of, which we can sort of continue on with that conversation as well. But yeah, I got Robin Hood Men in Tights because you brought on Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, and
at least that Robin Hood speaks with a British accent.
I'm like some Robin, and apparently Kevin Costner actually visited the set and really loved it because I watched the special features on here, and
don't the same guys who did the arrow trick for the Costner film do it for this movie too?
I think so. Yeah,
because that's the whole thing. Is like Mel Brooks would say this shit. He's like, the thing most of these guys don't get about these satire films is they'll come in and they'll do these cheap cardboard special effects thinking that's funny. It's like, no, to sell this, you have to build a realistic universe. He's like, Young Frankenstein worked because we got the set of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, we don't just have like something that looks, no, we literally got all the pieces that were left over from the Universal Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein set. That's pieces all built from that. And then they got, and he says the same thing about Blazing Saddles. If at one moment you felt like it wasn't a Western, it wouldn't fucking work until that last moment where they clearly break the fourth wall. Yeah. But I mean, that's withstanding. Same thing with Spaceballs. The reason that works is because he got fucking industrial lights and magic to do the special effects. Yep. The same people who made Star Wars and Star Trek at that time were doing their effects too. So that's what he knew. He's like, you can't do this half-assed, right? And this is why Hot Shots works.
Yep.
Because those guys understood that we have to make these movies just like Top Gun and Rambo, spend the same kind of money, make them look realistic, or it's not going to work. You do it like Saturday Night Live, you get a half a chuckle, but it ain't going to live on in history.
Yeah, and the thing is, even though they didn't film that in England, they said it was like the wettest year in California, and so when everything bloomed, it looked just like England because it was so green. Everything was so green, so it worked perfectly in their favor out there. And they loved it. And like they said, Kevin Costner came down. A lot of people, some of the same people that worked on the stunts did it on this movie. And this movie is freaking hilarious. It's one of my favorite Mel Brooks movies. And I love speaking of that is
Dave Chappelle.
Yes, Dave Chappelle, Isaac Hayes, Carrie Ells, Amy Yazbek, She's up smoking hot Nat and her.
Miss. Speaking of Problem Child, she's in that too, and that
Yeah,
she's
she's in
Mrs. She was married
John Ritter.
to John Ritter at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, and she is so smoking hot in that movie, wearing her chastity panties.
Yeah.
It's funny. And then you got Tracy Ullman playing Latrine.
Yeah, that was a little. Yeah, that was all right. This is like in my this movie I like, but it's kind of in that cusp of where I start to get to the Mel Brooks movies I don't like. So it's a good one though.
I feel you. I find it funny. Her best joke in the movie is when she says, "We changed our name to Latrine in the 19th century," or whatever, and he goes, "You changed your name to Latrine?
Yeah.
What was it before?" He's like, "It used to be Shit House."
Yeah, that was not too bad.
That was funny. But
speaking of Mel Brooks, no, I don't have too high hopes for History of the World Part 2.
Yeah,
Brian.
me neither. Especially with it being on Hulu, which now is Disney owned. So
they're not. It's going to probably be woke.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
And if it's not woke, it's going to be drab because Mel Brooks knows he can't be funny no more.
Yep. It'd probably be boring.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be a downer.
No, you're right. I was going to highlight it. Yeah, it's probably going to be.
But other people are bringing up.
They were going to do one.
I know. Well, they brought it up. Yeah, it's been in the works for a while. I think it's going to be a limited series, not an actual movie, because that's the kind of thing that like a lot of people were saying, and they're right. Having a History of the World Part 2 kind of defeats part of the purpose of the joke of the first film. There's never going to be a Part 2.
Exactly.
Exactly. And the best bit, I mean, look, the History of the World is and this is why I brought this whole like turning point. Like that is the movie right there. That is the middle ground because it is both one of his good and bad films. Because it drags on in some scenes, and outside of it's good to be the king, and I bring you the 15 10 commandments. Those are the two best parts of the movie. Aside from the other best joke in the movie is, with the advent of art came the advent of the critic. Those two or those three scenes bits are the only good parts of the whole movie. And it's good to be the king is not even really that funny. It's just a funny catchphrase. It's only good. Yeah. Because it's kind of,
and he brings that line back up in Robin Hood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like so, it's kind of at that point where you're like, and really, what it is, I can't remember who it was, but he lost his writing partner at that point, and he also lost Gene Wilder as far as like not like physically, but Gene went off on his own, on his own accord, and that losing that really kind of changed his. That's why Dracula, Dead and Loving It is not so good. This one is in that kind of realm of falling into the fall from grace kind of category of his. And he's got a few other ones that he made in that era that were not that great, like Life Stinks, and some other ones that he did.
I kind of like Life Stinks.
I like it, but it bombed horribly.
It did.
And that's the other thing with Dracula. Dracula is like his biggest bomb of all, like because it cost like $30 million to make, and it didn't make like $5 or whatever it was, $10 million or whatever it was. Spaceballs is one of his best ones. In fact, the funny thing enough is most people wouldn't even realize this. You would think Young Frankenstein or Blazing Saddles is his number one video seller. No, it's Spaceballs.
Yeah.
And which is funny because of how many video jokes they make in that movie, because it is. He's brought it up several times. He's like, of all the movies I've done, not Blazing Saddles, not even the producers, it's Spaceballs. That's the biggest number one seller.
It was just a good movie, though. It really was. But all of his movies were really good back then. So yeah.
Now, to me, Spaceballs belongs in that pantheon of his perfection trilogy. I call it basically, and this movie falls right to the. And you'll see what I mean here. It kind of falls right to the right of it, or something like that. You would say, because you got basically Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, and Spaceballs. Those three movies are his ultimate trilogy because he tackles the three big kind of movie styles, right?
Yeah.
And then you have his other films like The Producers and things that are kind of similar but different. But unfortunately, Robin Hood just kind of falls right off to the right of those films, and then you get down the road to the end of the road, which is like Dracula and shit like that. But yeah,
I get where you're coming from. But I had to watch it after you brought on Robin Hood, and I had to watch that one.
Silent Film is another one of his. I'm not a huge fan of either. I mean, I get it, but it's kind of a avant-garde Mel Brooks kind of movie, and it's kind of
yeah, it gets you there.
It has its moments. Like
Yeah.
all of his movies, they have his moments. It's not like he can't write a few good jokes here and there. Sorry. Anyway, you were saying about that.
You're right. Yeah, no, that was actually some other guy wrote the script for the movie first, as sort of like a parody of the Prince of Thieves, and then Mel Brooks really likes the Errol Flynn Robin Hood, so that once they started working together, that's where the whole like it's a mixture of the Errol Flynn and Kevin Costner's all together, and Cary Ells he'd then made a great Robin Hood, period. At the time, and I dig him in that. Dave Chappelle is freaking hilarious as a Chew, and I love Blinken, his blind servant. I love how he misinterprets things all the time. Like when he introduces Dave Chappelle, he goes, "This is a Chew," and he goes, "A Jew here." So I love that line. It's a Chew. Or when he says, "Hey Blinken, hold the horse," and he goes, "Did you say a Blinken?" So I just love those little bits. It's just like the little bits in between that really get me. But yeah, I get where you're coming from, where it started near the end of his run as like, his great comedies. So
Well, and he kind of knew when to hang it up too. Like when it got to Dracula Dead and Loving It, it's kind of like that's starting to look like the other kind of shit parodies we were getting. And I hate to say it, I love Leslie Nielsen, but I think that was part of the problem.
yeah, you probably could have cast somebody else as,
because it kind of takes away from, how do I put this? Once you bring Leslie Nielsen into it, it's kind of a Leslie Nielsen movie instead of it just being a Mel Brooks movie. I don't know who he should have gotten to play the role, and again, I love Leslie Nielsen, and I don't hate Dracula Dead and Loving It. It has some great moments in it.
Yeah.
But there's just something about it that feels off. I don't quite know what it is. I literally watched half of it because Shout just put it out here like last year, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
I had to quit halfway through. It really, at about it just got to that point where there's certain jokes and shit that they're really kind of like Farrelly Brothers jokes or the guys who did Airplane kind of jokes. And it's like, yeah, those work in an airplane setting, right?
It's like the Leslie Nielsen, because like, yes, Naked Gun and Airplane are awesome,
Yes.
they're funny, but it doesn't really mesh with Mel Brooks.
It's not the same kind of humor, and what happens is you get this weird brain baby from it that doesn't quite. It's like one of those times where you're kind of like, and this is the best analogy I can come up with, where you think, it'd be really cool if my favorite bands or my favorite singers would get together and do a song and it sucks. Let's say it's not All for Love, like from Rod Stewart, Sting, and Brian.
Right.
Turns into something very bad, very, very much bad. Like, that's kind of what that felt like. It's just like, not so much very much bad, just didn't quite jive. Just didn't quite click. And maybe it's more of akin to like when Michael Jackson tried to work with Freddie Mercury. They wrote a couple songs together, but they didn't quite click.
Right.
But Michael took one of the songs and ended up singing it with Mick Jagger, and it was a hit. So there you go.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things.
Just got certain comedies just doesn't mesh with certain. Yeah, I get you. What is Mel Brooks' best film? I would say either Spaceballs or Blazing Saddles. In my mind.
It's tough between those two.
Those are the only the two movies Greg just named are the only ones I've seen, so I can't really.
Oh, you got to see
Young Frankenstein is
awesome.
really, really good too. That's a tough one to really even
that's
kind
what
of.
I say, like,
I do need to watch that. That is on my.
Frankenstein.
It's Frankenstein. Putting on the rinse. I love that movie. It's a good movie.
I know.
It's hard. It's like the top three right there: Spaceballs, Young Frankenstein, and Blazing Saddles. Which order? I don't know.
Well, I kind of have. Okay, here's the thing: Blazing Saddles is probably the best of the films, right? Mm-hmm. Like as far as the writing until the end. The end kind of falls apart, but it's kind of part of its charm.
Yeah.
The second best is probably Spaceballs, but I have a very bias for that because that's kind of like my introduction to Mel Brooks. And probably the most, how do I want to put this? Probably his most technical and best written of the three would be Young Frankenstein. But Young Frankenstein is almost weird to count because it is basically Frankenstein. just rewritten, like Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein. You know what I mean?
pretty
Like,
much. Yeah, put it
it's
together.
really very, very much that story just compressed. And the only difference is you kind of take this idea that it's, you know, his grandson or whatever, great grandson or whatever it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I mean, in that sense. And then you can never forget the producers, though, because the producers is such a clever fucking comedy. And it doesn't fit in his normal, like, that's the thing. Like, he has two kind of styles of film, right? And that's, and producers is one of his better kinds, but unfortunately, those kind of films are the ones where he lacks later on down the road. And that would be like his, you know, Life Stinks and shit like that kind of stuff. Which I'm not even 100% sure if he wrote that, but The Producers is a film that some people overlook a lot and kind of gets overshadowed by that stupid musical version.
Yeah, because they made the musical version of it, so most people go towards that one, or even, sadly, they think about the Will Ferrell one. So that's crazy. Well, it's not.
Yeah,
Will
and he
Ferrell,
did
it's
do
Nathan
a music.
Lane.
Yeah, and he did do a musical version of Young Frankenstein as well a little while back here, but that didn't do as well, so I don't think we'll see a movie of that anytime soon. But we did get a remake of Blazing Saddles. It was that stupid cat movie we finally got last year. What was it called? Flaming Paws or whatever the fuck it was.
What? I don't.
Paws of Fury or whatever it was. Yeah.
Paws of Fury? I don't think I've ever heard of that.
That movie.
Yeah, with the fat orange cat.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all.
Isn't it some DreamWorks thing that came out?
I don't think it was DreamWorks, but it was some other company. But like, it's a movie that's been sitting on a shelf for years, and then they redid some shit in it and released it last year during the it finally got some life again because of the pandemic. Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh.
But it did come out like mid last year, early last year. I can't remember what it was. Maybe it might even have been 2021 or whatever. But yeah, it was, from what I heard, it wasn't very good.
I've never heard of it, so I'm glad.
Yeah, it's basically it's Blazing Saddles, but with samurais instead of in the Old West.
Nice.
And it's like you're sitting there going, like, how can you do this, like, to this movie? It just, ugh.
This is bullcrap. But I got one left. You got one left. So how do you guys want to do this, Runner? Because you got two left.
Yeah, you're a dirty bastard.
Actually, I think it's best if you go, because these two movies are part of, or these two things that I got left are part of a trilogy, let's say.
Well, then you could do them all together as one.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll just do the normal round then, so it'll be your turn anyway. So you might as well.
Yeah, you can just show them both right now.
Okay, I'll show them. I don't know if I'd really.
Because I got a hell of a doozy for a last one here. I tell you.
I don't know how you all think about, or I don't know if I've heard any of you talk about any of these movies, but I just watched them recently. One of these things I got for Black Friday for $10, super cheap, and then this other one was a Christmas gift.
Debbie Does Dallas and Debbie Does Dallas Part 2. Nailed it.
Oh my God, you got it right.
His mom got him.
His mom got it for him. Here, you need to learn a few things.
No. A buddy of mine.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
There's no way my mom would let me give me. No, it's
Go ahead.
Bad Boys.
Oh, the Bad Boys. You don't know Bad Boys 2.
Yeah, how could you not do those all together?
Yeah, you'd have to do them all together.
I thought about doing the first two first, and then like for my last.
No. You gotta do them all together. Okay. And you know that first one looks amazing in 4K. The second one, my God, looks pretty good, but
the second
one, the third one looks pretty good too. But the third movie is actually pretty good, and it retroactively makes the second film better. In my opinion, because I did not care for the second film.
Yeah, I didn't
loved the first one.
I liked the first one. I didn't like the second one.
Yeah, the second one was all right.
Did I tell this story about when I walked out of Bad Boys? What I said?
I don't know.
It's kind of embarrassing. Because I waited specifically. So. You always did watch the credits back then anyway. Yeah. But I made sure to pay attention to who the director was, because as I was walking out, I said to my cousin who went to see the movie with me, I'm like, that Michael Bay is going places. He's a kick-ass director. That is an actual fucking true story.
Wait,
I loved Bad Boys so fucking much after. I'm like, dude, like it was a movie it was like the equivalent of having sex for the first time.
Okay.
In a movie form.
No, dude. Okay, hold on a second.
You got to understand, there wasn't movies like edited that way when that movie came out. Like it was weird.
I understand, but like, dude, this movie has one of the greatest theme songs.
Oh, fuck, that helps too. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my god!
Want to talk about a soundtrack that's hard to find? To try and get the score to that, you can get the regular soundtrack, no problem. The score is like $80 because it was a limited thing that they did. Yeah, it's fucking tough to find. You can listen to it on YouTube, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I have YouTube Music or whatever that I use, and fuck, man, like
there's a Bad Boys spin-off movie with Jessica Alba, Dan Blackroyd. This is the first time hearing about
it. It's a TV show. It was a
really?
TV show. It was canceled.
What?
Yeah.
What?
It was on Spectrum.
Huh.
Spectrum original. It starred Jessica Alba and the chick that was in Bad Boys 3. What's her name? I think she's married to the basketball player guy.
I think, well, there's a couple. That's the thing. The weird thing about Bad Boys 3 is they get a young team, which is usually a bad sign in these kind of movies, but it actually works this time pretty well. Because
it does.
Yeah, these guys are getting a little old.
Yeah, it was, I can't remember the name of it.
And not only that, what happens to Will Smith, he kind of needs, like, I hate to say anything, because I don't know how much, like, Greg, like, this seriously does make the second movie better. I don't know if you agree with me or not.
It's called LA's Finest, and it starred,
okay, I don't remember hearing about it. Gabrielle Union, okay.
Gabrielle Union, yeah.
Here's the
her
thing,
character,
Greg,
she moves to LA or whatever, or gets transferred.
Hey, Greg, I'll tell you this. To watch the third one, you're gonna have to rewatch the first two.
I don't have a problem watching the first two. It's just that second one I really didn't care for, so I never
didn't
really
either,
bothered
Greg.
with
And that's the thing. It was funny about my whole quote is like, by the time you get to Bad Boys 2, that is a fucking Michael Bay movie through and through.
Yeah.
And by that point, I'm like, holy fucking shit, is this bad? I was so disappointed by the second film. I don't think I watched it again after it came out until I got that set that you got, Runner. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to choke my way through this again just so I can get to 3, because I've heard semi-decent things about 3. And I choked my way through it, and then I got to 3, and I'm like, oh my God, this actually makes 2 better.
2 made me want to smack Chris Rock. That's all I'm saying.
Chris Rock?
Or you mean
Will Smith smacked Chris Rock? I was just making a bad joke.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh,
that's a bad joke.
You should have said Will Smith, maybe. That
yeah,
would
Will
better.
Smith.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, oh, the slap.
Or you should have been. I didn't like the scene where Will Smith smacked Martin Lawrence. Maybe we could have drew a parallel there. I think it would have been better if you did.
Yeah, it was a bad joke.
But no, like there's things that are set up in part 2, unfortunately, that pay off in part 3 even more, which is cool. But like again, I don't want to give too much away because it does a really good job of the. How do you put it? It's not quite on that Top Gun level of picking things up X amount of years later, but what it does do is, yeah, it's been like 10, 15 years or whatever since the last movie. Probably a little bit more than that, actually.
I mean, produced by, both Top Gun Maverick and Bad Boys for Life were both produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. So
yeah, and he did the first one and second one, I think. I don't know if he did this one though. Did he do this one too?
He produced all.
Michael Bay didn't. I see. Michael Bay didn't direct this one. Thank God. He's in the fucking movie though.
Yeah, he is. He's in the wedding.
It's so fucking stupid, but yeah, he's there. But it's kind of funny if you think about it.
Yeah.
But basically, without giving too much away, like there's a kind of a setup to where I think Martin Lawrence is getting ready to retire. Am I right?
Yeah.
Because it's been like 2 years since I watched the movie. I haven't watched it since it came out.
Yeah. Talk about someone who like completely changed like shape over the years.
But like something happens and there's kind of and it kind of works. It's one of those few times where they introduce something from a character's past where you normally be like, oh, that's dumb. Well, in this case, it kind of fucking works just because of who the character is and their reputation, let's say.
Yeah. I actually, it was actually pretty well executed.
And it plays out very well. And it manages not to jump into any overly woke territory with the, the special B team. You know?
Yeah, no, that completely surprised me, and I actually liked it. But if you don't know, Tom probably knows this, but the directors for this movie were the directors of the unreleased Batgirl movie.
And they also did the Miss Marvel show and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Critical
They were
Drinker
supposed to be
and
making
Jump-
Bad Boys 4 until that.
So all that played out.
See, and that's the thing is I hate when a third film has like something like Forever as the title or whatever, because it's like that should be the fourth film. So it kind of works better.
Bad Boys Forever. That works.
Yeah, same thing with like Batman Forever being the third film.
Yeah.
And Batman, it's like
Yeah.
Batman, and then that's the stupidest one. You want to know why that's the stupidest one? Because it really should be the other way around.
Yeah, that one.
If
really
you really
should have
think
been Batman and
about it.
Robin.
Considering
Right.
Robin is introduced in that movie. And then, like, at that point, kind of like the whole point is like, yes, I get it. It kind of goes along with his, like, coming to terms with being Batman. That's, like, the weakest point of Batman Forever, really. Because it's like, how many times does Bruce have to go through this crisis of identity?
Exactly.
And then if you put, like, Batman Forever on the fourth film, it's not only the fourth film, but it kind of plays into this idea that he's Batman Forever, and now he's got the Bat Family team, and you know, they're Bat people forever. Like, you know, just kind of like it works better that way. And same thing here. Even though we're probably never getting a fourth movie now, but like if we were to get one, like even though I wouldn't know what the fuck to call this movie necessarily, but like yeah, Bad Boys for Life or Bad Boys Forever would have been better. But like maybe that's what they'll call Part 4 if they ever make it as Bad Boys Forever, because this was Bad Boys for Life. But
Yeah.
You think they?
I don't know, I'll have to go
make
back
a
through
fourth movie?
there was a plan to that actually spin, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin any of it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet or Greg. Is like, yeah, there was definitely a setup for the fourth film there.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'll have to watch it. I have just
To where,
I
let's
just
say one
said-
character can kind of be a more of a peripheral character, and you still have the one main star and a younger cast to help go along with him. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Without giving away spoilers?
Sounds roughly about right, probably. I was like, I've never seen it, but it sounds like I could see where you're going with that.
Because I'm not saying anybody really dies, but let's just say, like I said, I think in the movie that's the whole thing is that Marcus is getting ready to retire anyway. So like, you kind of get that, but
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll have to check it out and get to that. Another one on my list. But as far as like Brian Barth, as these movies from Michael Bay, I love The Rock because I love Nicolas Cage. I thought Armageddon was just good, cheesy, stupid fun. I did not care for Pearl Harbor. So
that's the thing is you kind of have
either
that's
one of those movies.
That's kind of the phases of Michael Bay.
yeah.
He starts off real solid. You got The Rock, you've got Bad Boys, you've got Armageddon. Armageddon's where it kind of starts to turn. Like it's
that's where it
enjoyable
starts to,
still.
like-
But listen to Ben Affleck's drunken commentary ain't wrong.
Told me to shut the fuck up.
you start to kind of break this down a little bit. And you're like, so you're trying to tell me it'd be quicker to teach some fucking oil drillers to be fucking literal rocket scientists than it would to teach rocket scientists how to drill a fucking hole. Not really likely, but hey, you know what? For the sake of the movie, shut the fuck up, Ben. Just shut the fuck up, Ben. This is real world. There's actual program at NASA where they're teaching oil drillers right now to fly. Just shut the fuck up, Ben.
That's fun, but yeah, you're not wrong because Armageddon is where it starts to fall off the rails, and it's still fun to watch.
I like elements of Pearl Harbor, but there's problems. It definitely has.
Yeah,
big
it's just
problems.
I did not care for Pearl Harbor.
I think I might have watched a little bit of Pearl Harbor on like TV or something, and I just walked away.
What I hate about it is the basic story between all the main characters, right? Like the whole Ben Affleck, Josh Hartnett storyline thing.
The love triangle.
Yeah, the war scenes, though, they did a really great job of trying to recreate the attack on Pearl Harbor as best as possible in real time on film. That aspect of it, I have a great respect for, because at that time, that was a great blend of miniatures, regular footage, and CGI, and they did a lot, because that was still in that period where we were in that transition between being able to do all this shit. You know, kind of like where a lot of people think that Lord of the Rings and Independence Day, and Jurassic Park, there's not nearly as much CGI in those movies as you'd think. And then they even played up a lot more CGI than there is in those actual movies, which is funny. But then you're getting to that point then by that where it's like, it's getting to that point where they're starting to do a little bit more CGI than they used to. But I still love that, and I love the retaliation scenes. Like when that whole bit, that last portion of the film outside of the stupid lovey-dovey story crap.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The director's cut version of the attack is amazing. That's the one I was talking about, where I think that's the one that's done in pretty much like real time. And he made sure it was like all in like real time to where it actually happened, because the attack didn't actually last that long, which is kind of another thing. It was a pretty quick attack, but
it was a quick attack. Yeah,
it was the attack itself, though, what it meant and what it resonated throughout the rest of the war, and us getting involved. And I thought that element of the story it did fine with. It was just the other shit it didn't need. But to me, what I have a problem with, and don't anybody in the chat take this personally, or anybody here on the panel, Greg or anybody. The problem I have, and I don't think you will after I say this, but I just have to preface this, because the problem I have with that movie is a lot of people who like Titanic don't like Pearl Harbor. And it's like, the shit that I hate about Titanic is the same shit that you hate about Pearl Harbor. Because to me, the problem with Titanic is I spend 2 fucking hours with characters I shouldn't have to give a shit about, because guess what? They ain't real fucking people. But the ship is real, and the ship did actually go down, and all that shit's great. But at that point, I would have rather spent some time with some real people. You have the unsinkable Molly Brown. You have a lot of other characters that you could have used of people or amalgamized and could have done here, to where who gives a fuck about Jack and his fucking girlfriend?
I didn't like Titanic either. I didn't like Titanic or Pearl Harbor.
I hate Titanic, but like Pearl Harbor, I appreciate and give respect.
I get where you come. I do appreciate
to what they pulled off with the special effects, and the once the ship starts going down, the movie gets infinitely more interesting. But I could have gave a fuck less about the first 2 hours of the movie. It is such a waste of my fucking time.
I think if you know me, my favorite part of Titanic is Kate Winslet just being nude. That's about it.
Oh, yeah,
Other than that, I don't give a crap.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so in this case, like, I can't stand any of the fucking shit outside of the actual legit historical shit that's in Pearl Harbor. Yeah. Michael Bay got that shit right. The rest of
because that is something that I do remember mostly about Pearl Harbor, especially like when they're bombing Pearl Harbor and they're all in that ship and it's the plane stuff. I remember that more than I do remember anything in that movie.
Because even Cuba Gooding Jr., I believe his character is actually based on a real person.
Yeah, he was a real person. Yep.
But like everybody else, except for like the president and certain other generals and things like, it's like, why? There's enough real people, and I get some of them are kind of amalgamized, but the fucking love triangle story is so dumb. Like, it is so
played out to death.
Well, not only that, it takes so much away from the story.
Mm-hmm.
Or the time, it takes so much time to get through it. You got to make it simple. There's certain aspects of it you could have kept in there maybe, but like, come on, it just. And I get it. You're trying to do a little slice of pie kind of thing, and that's kind of what James Cameron was doing. But that's to me what it was. It was Michael Bay trying to be James Cameron. In this case, in my opinion, he kind of did James Cameron better. That's just my personal take on it.
I believe that.
Because if you put a gun to my head and say you got to watch one or the other, I'd pick Pearl Harbor over Titanic any day of the fucking week.
I would too, because I never understood that.
Because it has Dan Aykroyd in it.
I never understood that. It's like I'm sitting there watching Titanic, and like people's like, if you don't cry at the end of this movie, I'm just like, I don't really give a shit what happens to anybody right now.
I was so sick of that song by the time that movie finally got.
I was just like, that's what everybody was so excited for, that movie. That was the big one. I enjoyed, going back to the Three Musketeers, I enjoyed Man in the Iron Mask better, which came out the same year as Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio.
I remember seeing that, and I think it was all right. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've seen it, though.
It's a good Three Musketeers movie, actually, along with King Louis.
Yeah, because it is related to it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, the Three Musketeers are in it. All of them, they're all in it. It's like they're the driving force of the movie because they're the ones that break out the twin brother to replace the king.
Yeah, because I'm not as familiar with that story so much. So that's like, this one isn't as much like Robin Hood, to where I have a little bit more of a, you know, a bit of a take on it so much. But like, that's probably another reason why I enjoyed it so much. Is like, if I knew too much about the real books and all that kind of shit, like I'd be like,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
But I can also sit back and go, yeah, I get it. This is the MTV / Young Guns / whatever version. You know, that was that period of time. We just got those kind of movies. But no, we're talking about other things now. Bad Boys.
Yeah. We went on to a whole different thing.
That's another thing too. The soundtrack for Bad Boys 2 sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not memorable.
First one's good.
Oh, the first one's fantastic, but like I can't like hum or think of like any other like theme, and I can't think of the main theme in 2.
And I think it had a couple songs that were on the radio, but they were very shit songs from my recollection.
And yeah, like I after watching 2, like I can see why someone like you would hate it, Tom.
Well, there's only like 3 scenes in part 2 that stood out to me in my memory. And one of them is not for a great reason, because it's always such a cliche, and that's where Marcus gets shot in the ass. And of course it was Will Smith who did it. You know what I mean? Like that is so fucking cliche that it's like, that bothers me. But I love the bit with the date when the like, I can't even mimic half that shit, because that is some of the hardest you ever see Will Smith. Like, I just got out of prison, motherfucker.
To be honest with you, that's Will Smith. Honestly, that's Will Smith's best role, because Will Smith, who plays Will Smith in every movie, that's Will Smith. It works perfectly in the Bad Boys world.
It does, especially him bouncing off of Martin Lawrence, because I like Martin Lawrence, but he works best with Eddie Murphy and Will Smith.
Oh,
that is when
the movie Life. Now I got to watch Life, because I love that movie.
I don't like it as much as Boomerang, but yeah, like that's the thing.
Oh,
those
two,
Martin Lawrence is one of those guys. I'm not a fan of him on his own. I fucking hate those Big Mama movies.
Oh yeah,
but
me too.
But he's always great with Eddie and certain people like that. And in this case with Will Smith, they have chemistry that works. And it's a perfect chemistry. They know their characters from the moment that first scene in the first movie. They nail their characters. Like, you see who these characters are. You see their dynamic. They're the odd couple as this new modern kind of like cop duo. It's kind of part 48 Hours, a little bit Beverly Hills Cop, but it's also modern at that time. You know?
Yeah, at that time.
The second one, that's the problem, is Puff Diddy fucking produced the soundtrack, Blackroyd. You're right. Yes. That's the fucking problem with that second one. The 4K set is. I don't think there is a 3 movie set, is there? Because like Runner was showing here. I think that's the only set you can get. Yeah.
Not, and it's the only way you can. Like, here's the thing: if you didn't like the second one, you're gonna have it anyway, because that's the only reason you can get the first one.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen them separately. I think you're right, Runner.
Yeah, because Sony didn't do it. Like,
and they brought those out as part 3 was coming into theaters. That's also why there's not a trilogy. Which is funny. I can't believe there's not a trilogy, but you're right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, now you'll probably never get that trilogy with what's going on nowadays. So
who knows? That's the thing, is Bad Boys 4 was already under scrutiny because of it. It first got. Here's the thing, you guys got to remember when this movie came out. This was the last big movie that made over $100 million before the lockdown, or $200 million or whatever it was.
I remember.
It was technically the biggest movie of 2019 because of that. Now, it probably could have even done better. I'm not saying it wouldn't have wound up, but there's no way it would have been the biggest movie of the year if that wouldn't have happened. Because I'm sure Top Gun or whatever that was supposed to come out would have topped it.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so that's where that happened. And then just as they were like, okay, so it was a success. So they jumped right into, as soon as the pandemic subsides, we're going to shoot Bad Boys 4. Well, then what happened? BLM, cops, defund the police. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Yeah, without getting too deep into that. So that killed that project before Will Smith ever slapped Chris Rock.
Mm-hmm.
It was already pre-dead. Like, when people are like, oh, Bad Boys 4, I'm like, Bad Boys 4 has been dead for the better part of a year and a half now.
Pretty
When
much.
those guys, here's how I know, because once those guys moved from that over to Batgirl and Miss Marvel, that told me Bad Boys 4 ain't happening any goddamn time soon.
Yeah.
Because they were the ones who constructed this whole thing. I can't remember their names, but Runner knows that's one he was talking about earlier, the two directors.
Yeah, I don't know their names, but
It should say it on the box there, but yeah.
It should. Well, they're hard to.
They're hard to pronounce.
Yeah, they're hard to pronounce, honestly.
Say it, motherfucker. They're like Muslim or whatever it is. Like, yeah. You racist bastard. No, just kidding.
Racist.
Is it? I think you
You're
pronounce it
racist.
as a doll, and then the other one is Balil or something like that.
It's Adele and Bilal, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you say their names. But like, I watched their interview with Critical Drinker. It was pretty good.
Yeah. And I think Cameron Pasha knows them too, or at least knows of.
Yeah, I think he does. He's talked about them a lot.
Yeah. Which, I mean, in this film, they showed me that, yeah, you can handle it. That you did a better job than Michael Bay did. Right?
Yeah,
Because three is a
agree.
better movie, and 3 is also retroactively makes 2 count. So you're like, fuck it. Even if I don't like it, it has to count now because of certain things that happen.
And it's like, it's beautifully shot too. Like, it's a great looking movie visually.
Oh, they definitely use the scenery. I don't know if they shot it all in Miami or not, which I'm assuming they probably did. I don't see why they wouldn't, but it might have been shot partially in Georgia. Who knows? But I'd have to look. But yeah, it does look beautiful.
Yeah, so like when you watch a movie like this, it's like absolutely like they're like very confident directors if you like give them like good material and stuff.
Exactly. And people did turn around and like Miss Marvel, just nobody watched it. That was a problem.
Exactly. I exactly. I just don't give a shit.
As far as Batgirl, though, from what I've heard, there was nothing going to save that piece of shit from what I've heard. But
I mean, that's obvious. Just looking at the behind the scenes stills and shit.
And I know some people are like, "Oh, what do we lost on?" Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, "No, you didn't lose out on anything."
Yeah, you ain't missing it. Those people that are saying that they would have watched, they wouldn't have watched it. The movie would have flopped. Nobody would have going to go see that.
So I said nobody gave a shit about it until it was canceled.
Exactly.
Most motherfuckers didn't even know it existed until it got canceled because they didn't give a shit.
Right?
Nobody was going to it.
Like, oh, do you know they revealed like just recently, like they like there was a recent like behind
what she looked like in the final.
Yeah, her final suit. Yeah.
The final suit isn't as bad as the other one. I'll give it that, but it still looked pretty bad.
No,
the padding is weird on that.
Well, no, it's still the new 52 Batgirl suit, which I
is that tactical version of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's better than the cosplay looking one, but yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I don't think we're missing out on anything.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
No.
It might leak someday.
Plus, the Michael Keaton Batman suit looked really bad from that one photo.
I have a feeling, at least if anything, the Batman footage will leak out someday, just because.
Yeah, somebody will leak that.
If anything, at least the Michael Keaton footage will end up leaking out someday.
Yeah, because some of the weird like leaks or whatever, like, or just like the behind the scenes stuff that like was like released, like with the Michael Keaton stuff, looked so weird.
Yeah. As far as this question here, if they're the main character, I think you named it, sir.
They live. Yeah, pretty much. They live. I mean, you could say, oh my god, I can't think of the name of the movie. I was going to make a joke, but I can't think of the name of the movie.
Suburban Commando?
No,
Mr. Nanny.
The first one with the Hulk Hogan.
The Tooth Fairy?
Where he's an actual wrestler.
Oh, No Holds Barred?
No Holds Barred. I love that movie because it's so bad.
It's so bad, yeah.
That's
a tough one to find on Blu-ray. Did you know that?
Yeah, I have the DVD, but I don't have
the
Blu-ray.
It's like $40-$50 or more. It's actually probably gone up since then. It's been out of print for a few years.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, honestly,
I keep holding my DVD on that one.
Yeah.
I can't think of any other person or any other wrestler for any
Rock.
other movie. Well, I can't think of like a movie of his I like really
That's the problem I had too, but I thought maybe you would since you're kind of like younger than me. But
no, I don't care about The Rock as much as other people.
Ah, that's cool. That's fair.
I did.
Not that I hate The Rock. It's just I can't remember like a movie and like in theaters, like I did see Hobbs and Shaw in the theater with a buddy of mine. I watched Black Adam in the theater. Those are the only ones I could think of. I've seen like The Rock in the theater, like almost like most other people my age at the time when we were in like middle school and high school or whatever, like would watch like a movie with The Rock, but like I never really cared.
Dan, this is a movie. I don't even know if this has ever been released on DVD. I know it doesn't have a Blu-ray. I have it on digital. But one service has it only in standard def, and the other one actually has HD, but it's a really poor HD transfer. I have a soft spot for this one.
So do I. It's cool.
It's got a bit of a weird history to it. Do you realize it was a rejected Ivan Reitman possible project?
Really?
When they were looking at scripts for Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito.
No shit.
And it was actually going to be a parody, satire, quasi-sequel to Commando. And Danny DeVito was going to play the Christopher Lloyd part. Now, the big difference would be he wasn't from outer space. He was just supposed to be the same character that he was in Commando. But they rejected that instead and did Twins. And
well,
of course, the other script they had was Junior, which they decided to do later. But like, yeah. But that was the one they rejected. So instead, then New Line picked it up, and they made it a vehicle for Hulk Hogan. And the rest, of course, is history. We got the movie we got, and I'm sorry, but I actually enjoy that. It's cheesy, it's bad.
I like it.
But I like it.
I love it. It's fun, and plus the Undertaker's in it, so it's another wrestler. So
and he's got one of the best jokes.
I know. You're a dead man, Ramsey.
I was just gonna do this.
You're a dead man, Ramsey.
knowing that the Undertaker, he's got like a really deep voice in real life, so it's so cool. Speaking of, do you know this one about Mr. Nanny? With the opening scene, if you go back and watch it, what happens?
Honestly, I only seen Mr. Nanny once. I did not care for that one as much, but go ahead and reiterate.
No.
So
okay. No, they're saying about the movie. If you watch the opening scene of Mr. Nanny when Hulk Hogan's riding his motorcycle down the road, there's a dude behind him that's standing in front of a lake, and he just tosses his dog in the lake. Just chucks him.
No, I did not. I don't remember that at all.
It's just like I guess that was like the day they filmed it. That guy was not supposed to be in the movie. What happens? I don't even know how people found it. I guess somebody was just going back and through it. Some guy just walks up to the lake and just throws his dog out in the lake, and it's like, what the hell?
Well, I hope he didn't kill the damn dog.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope he didn't kill it at all.
Swim. I mean, but still, yeah. That's crazy.
But I'm with you. I do love Suburban Commando. It's got a soft spot. I actually saw it in the theaters. So,
you know what we're going to do to you? Let me guess. You're going to pound in my face and grind me into the pavement until my bones are mushed. And then after that, you're going to string me up and blah, blah, blah. He just goes on and on. And goes, Are you serious? This is the 90s. We're going to sue you.
Yeah. It's good.
And you got Shelley Duvall as the wife. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's got a good cast, with them too. So, but with all that being said, good picks over there, Runner. Bad Boys 1, 2, and 3. Tom, I know you.
Sorry, we went off on a fucking.
Yeah, I know you wanted to talk about yours. Right. Do you want me to go before you, since you wanted to?
It don't really matter. I'm not sure how much I'm going to have to say on this. Do you want to go first?
No, I just thought maybe because it sounded like you was wanting to rip into this movie. So, but if you don't have much to say, I'll
you
just
know what? You decide. I say that, and then I'll end up going on about it for like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, then I'll go first, just in case. Because I know sometimes when we start complaining about movies, we go off longer than we expect. Yeah. So, okay, so I'll go first. Mine is a new movie, which I actually dropped a review for this today. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It's called Heartland of Darkness. This was the lost Leanna Quigley movie from 1989. It had never, ever, ever been released on beta, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, Laserdisc. Never, ever. Just released 33 years later in 2022, at the end of 2022. So I enjoyed it. it was a good movie. It's from Visual Visions, a new boutique label, and like I said, it's Linnea Quigley. I keep saying her name wrong, so I always say Leanna. It's Linnea Quigley. So
No wonder
yeah,
she don't grant you an interview.
it's probably not. Probably not. It's like every time I talk about one of her movies, I say to my head, it's Linnea, and then I start talking on camera and I'm saying Leanna. So that's my fault. But yeah, it's essentially it's a satanic panic movie from the 80s. This guy moves to a small town, Ohio. He buys a newspaper and he discovers that the reverend of the town is actually a Satanist, and he's turned everybody in the town into Satanists, and they don't know who to trust and what's going on. And so it's like we talked earlier, this is like type of movie you would see at a gas station video store, way in the back in the horror section down below that you would rent. So this was a good movie. It's cheesy, bad, fun 80s horror movie that I enjoyed. So I don't want to go too much into it because I did do a review and I knew I was going to bring it on here. But if you guys not seen it and you can handle these movies, check it out. Which, although I didn't show you guys real quick. I'm sorry if you guys don't.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't even see it. What
Oh yeah. Okay, I'm going to blow it back up real quick.
Well, I thought maybe I missed it, but yeah.
Can you see it all right?
It's digitized, but
I know my internet's not.
Heartland of Darkness. Oh yeah, I've never seen that or heard that one before.
Yeah,
That's
it just
weird.
was released. It was never ever released till just now. The only thing is that my slipcover came ripped.
Oh, that sucks.
Which I hate that, and it was all wrapped in plastic.
Fuck.
How do you
That
rip
sucks.
it underneath the plastic?
Means it probably got dropped or something at some point, and enough pressure pushed up on it or something.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Am I still
It's
really
hard to say. Or it
digitized?
happened in the manufacture. Not so bad now.
They
You
give
might
me
have to up your settings too.
Yeah, I might have to try it, but if you can see it, they gave me a prayer cloth. They gave me stickers, like VHS stickers.
Oh, sweet.
And I have a Linnea Quigley poster in there too, which I'm not going to pull out because it's all digitized apparently. So, but yeah, it's a pretty good thing, and I dug it. I dug the movie. It's just a really cheesy, fun, bad movie that I loved. And yes, there is boobs. So I mean, like within 1 minute of Linnea Quigley on screen, she's dropping her top. So like within a
You said her
minute.
name right.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, Greg? I keep calling her Leanna Quigley because of you.
I know that's my fault, and I don't
Same
know why.
here.
I don't know why I do, because I know it. Like I said, I say it in my head, and then all of a sudden, boom.
Listen, I've never heard of that chick until you kept talking about her at one point, and then I saw Return of the Living Dead, and I was like, oh, it's Leanna Quigley, and I'm like, and I just found out today that I've been saying it all wrong this
Yes,
entire
it's
time.
Linnea.
Linnea. I gotta remember that.
It's essentially, this was a student film. It was made it was actually made in Ohio by Ohio State film kids. They filmed in Ohio, everywhere in Ohio. Some rich kid's dad actually paid for her to be in the movie. That's why she's in the movie. So it's actually, yeah, I watched because it's got a 40-minute documentary on the making of what happened and why it never was released, with directed by the director of the movie. So it was a really fun, interesting thing to watch. So
what's the runtime for the movie? Just curious.
it's 101 minutes.
Oh, okay. So that's
It's a little longer than it should be, but
for a student film, yeah.
yeah, for a student film, it's a little longer than it should be. I was expecting like 88 minutes personally when I bought it, and then I was surprised that it was 101 minutes.
Yeah,
Like I said,
all-
I can't say it's like a really great film because it's not, but it's a fun, cheesy, campy 80s horror movie that you've never seen before.
Yeah, because the projects that we did in class, like you couldn't like make a full length film.
Oh, this was done by college students at Ohio State. So
Yeah, well, I'm a college student, so
yeah, but these like, let's just say rich preppy type
that
kids.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So, but anyways, there's that. And Tom, if you're ready for your lesson, because like I said, I did do a video on that, dropped it today. I didn't want to go too far into that. So,
Well,
Tom, let's go.
I took a chance. It's something weird. And yes, Sadie, of course you have to go out now. Of course you do. You couldn't have done this like 5 minutes ago. So let me finish this, Sadie, and I'll let you out. Just a minute. Go lay down. Just a minute. All right. I usually we joke about how in porn actually used to have plots.
Yes.
I always forget, and I have to remind myself from time to time, there was also a time before that time that was worse than now. And unfortunately, this movie, it comes from that time.
You bought Bat Pussy.
I'm regretting every minute of it. Trust me. I thought this was going to be like a funny send-up of the 60s Batman series.
Mm-hmm. Something tells me it wasn't.
All right. It's not even an hour long. They don't know when it came out. It says 1970 ? I'm not even sure it was the 70s. I think it might have been the 60s, late 60s. And I'll show you a couple things that I can actually show you here. Because it is a full-on porn, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
And there's 2 different versions of the movie here. I don't know what the difference is. I only watched the one in fast forward mostly, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I mean, it does have some special features and a whole nother video, pretty much in the same vein as this, and you'll understand what I mean here in just a minute.
If we're going to get a deep dive into film school right here.
Not really, because this was a very big disappointment to me.
I glitched out twice while you were talking, Tom, so I'm sorry.
You'll have to listen later.
Yeah, I'll watch the replay.
Good night, Brian Barth. Thanks for hanging with us.
As you see here, this is how we meet Bat Pussy.
That's her?
Yeah, and she doesn't do anything really cool here. And I don't know the time period well enough to be able to go, okay, this is definitely not the 70s or the 60s or whatever it is. But I would have to guess it's probably very, very, very early 70s or very late 60s. And so, yeah.
Tom's like, how do I say this?
You can barely hear anything. It's all tinny as fuck. Like obviously they didn't do a very good job on the production. This is literally like kind of a reason to just like, because the only time she's really dressed in any like bat suit or anything like that is when she bops on this like this. And this is like one scene in the whole movie that's like cut up in between this other scene of these 2 people having sex. That's really all it is through most of the movie for almost an hour. And they have this banter back and forth that's really hard to understand and clearly just like improvised on the spot and very badly done. And then she shows up and they start fucking all. Like, that's the movie, y'all. Like, there's nothing to this thing. The sound sucks. It's just, it's horrible. And I mean, I'm not sitting here saying I expect it, but at least for a porno from the 70s, I thought maybe it would be fun. Maybe a nice little send up. You'd get to watch Bat Pussy fuck the Joker and the Penguin and maybe do a Leslie scene with Catwoman or something. You know, like, I mean, like that kind of a thing. And it'd be definitely like a goofy. It's not worth the money, guys. And here's the funny thing is
like $24 or something like
it's
that?
like, yeah. And then I brought it up earlier on Doomcock's show. Doomcock knew the movie. He's seen it before.
No, really?
I'm not totally surprised, but Gary went and bought it while he was on the show there, and I like tried to warn him not to.
Don't do it. It's not what you think.
No. But he did it anyway.
When you said Gary, I thought you were talking about Nerdrotic. But
No, Gary Broja, sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I cannot fucking recommend this movie. Not even in any fun novelty kind of way. It's a bad. Even though the extra pornos and shit they give you are on here, it's still not worth it. There's one called Batty Man and Ruben Meet Dick Nose. It's really kind of stupid.
Ruben Meet Dick Nose.
It's not any better. It's literally more or less kind of the same. And then a trip to the storefront theater. And then you get a bonus movie, Robot Love Slaves, and it's the same kind of shit. And that was 71. So like it was a very disappointing purchase.
What happened to the good parodies where you get
The cover is worth more than the movie itself, if you ask me. Like, the cover is more entertaining, really, if you look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I almost wish it was a cartoon or something at this point. Like, it would have been funnier, probably. It's not like there is a story or a script to it. Like, it's really bad. It's literally like flip on the camera, let the actor say a thing or two, and then, like, literally this movie feels like it was just an excuse for this guy to fuck two women at once. And one of them is very ugly, and the other one looks like a strung out hippie chick. So really, it's like and he looks like he's straight out of 1954.
Was he the director as well? The guy?
Probably. They don't know who the director is. I'm imagining he's the director.
He's just like, I have this great idea. I'm going to dress you as Batman, and then I'm going to fuck you.
And like I said, there's two different scans of the movie on here from two different versions or whatever. One's like 3 minutes shorter. I watched the longer version, so I don't know if there's different variations between the two. But I literally watched 90% of this movie and fast forward after a while. Once you get past it was just because it's unwatchable. It really is. It's like it's not even. Again, it's like it's all one angle most of the time, really far away. I don't even know where they'd have the microphone, but it sounds like it's up somebody's ass in the other room, and it's
just not good.
It's not good. Not worth the money. No. But I did turn Doomcock. I said, you got to check out Vinegar Syndrome. I bet you like that place because he loves that kind of crap. So, yeah. That's the best part of the story. So, like, other than that, I'm like, ugh. I really regret buying this one.
It's the cover that did it, isn't it? Because I saw the cover too, and I thought about it myself.
I bought a few of their X or triple X movies, whatever you want to call them, of the times. I've never really watched too many of them. I think I scanned one of them once, and it was whatever. Yeah. But like this was just like a waste of money. I feel like I was ripped off. I really do. For the first time ever, I've gotten movies from Vinegar Syndrome that I wouldn't say were great movies, but at least they put. And I'm not saying they didn't put anything into this, but I just really kind of feel like this is not what I was sold in a weird way. But I guess I don't know. I can't really say they made any promises.
They just said, hey, this is what it is, take it as is. But I think that's one of their partner labels, so technically
exactly. I was gonna say this is during their partner label deal, and I think I got it for like whatever it was. Yeah, they got it to me pretty quick though, so I was kind of surprised too. Yes, Sadie, I know. All right. Yeah, with that, we're almost done here because Sadie's got to go out anyway. So there's not much else I think I can say about it.
Great titles tonight, other than Bat Pussy. Do not go out and buy it, people. Do not go out and buy it. You've been warned.
I'm so sorry, Tom.
Yeah, I mean it's worse than Titanic. So
kind of is.
Oh man.
At least, what's her name had a better body. So,
Kate Winslet.
That's true.
Yeah, Kate Winslet. I mean,
yeah. You know what's funny about Titanic? I think I watched it when I was in like 7th grade, and my mom made me watch it. And what is it? Then the nude scene comes up, and like she literally told me, "Pretend like you didn't see that." That's what she told me.
So you didn't see it. All right, but
and obviously of course. Yeah, of course.
But thank you guys. Thank you, Runner. Thank you, Tom, for being here tonight. It's amazing.
Tyrell, I'm not 100% sure on that. I can't remember now. I think so. He asked, does Cloak and Dagger have a regular Blu-ray?
Yes, it does. It does come with a regular Blu-ray.
I was going to say, I think so, because one of them, I think if I remember right, one of them has like a game on one of them, and the other one has something else on it. I can't remember what it was.
I do believe, it has it. Yeah. But with all that being said, I thank you guys. Once again, thank you, Runner. Thank you, Tom, for being here tonight. Thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging with us as well. I appreciate you guys. I really do appreciate you guys every week. Like I said, it still surprises me to this day that there's like 25 to 30 people that will stay and watch my channel. So that I'm happy with that. So I appreciate it, and you guys have a good
Keep
night.
building. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Hey, I'm happy. So appreciate it. Thank you guys. And as always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.
Bitches sneeze.